Hi, Scott here. Hey, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast. I'm going to raise my bat. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see me raising my cricket bat. 100 episodes, 100 not out. Look, excited for this episode. 100 episodes, and today I thought I would do something different. So I've gone around and asked a bunch of people what's their best business advice. So you're about to hear, I think it's from about 16 different people, their best business advice. And I got people from all different industries as well. So you're going to get some great advice here. Here's the thing. This is the 100th episode. I want it to reach more people. You know, I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you listening to this podcast, because you don't get to 100 podcast episodes without people listening in. So I really appreciate you listening in. But do me a favor, really share this one. Tag me in on LinkedIn, tag me in on Instagram, tag me in on Facebook, and share this podcast with people, because this is a ripper. You're going to get some great advice here from real experts in their industry, some real business experts, marketing experts. Make no mistake, I've gone all out on this 100th episode. So have a listen, look forward to. By the way, these are going to go run back to back to back to back. You'll hear me each time interview these people. So you're going to get some great advice, but more importantly, share it with people. Share it out on social media, and I look forward to talking to you real soon. I'll be at the end. I've got some great advice on my the last episode where I talk about marketing, but also my best business advice as well. All right, hey, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you really soon. Darren, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
It's good to be here, mate.
Mate, it's awesome to have you back. Hey, got one question for you. This is part of our 100th podcast episode. What's your best business advice?
I think when you look at business today and you look at the world, the way it's changing, I think probably the biggest and most important thing for me as businesses today is to really own their customer base.
Nice.
One of the things I'm seeing now is customers, they have so many options, so many ways of dealing with new, different suppliers or doing research about who I should use.
Yeah.
I think now once you start dealing with a customer and working with a particular client over a period of time, your job is actually to own that customer now and also hold on to that relationship in the future.
And to own a customer, what do you got to do?
I think the first thing is you've got to learn who your customers are. I really see nowadays that most businesses will do the transaction, and that's really great, but there's a whole lot of information within the transaction that we should be recording.
Yeah.
What's their basic? What's their birth date?
Yeah.
How many kids have they got? What are their interests? If you can get some more information on your customer as they go through the transaction, your ability to be able to have relevant conversations with them in the future and show your value is actually really important.
Because you're spending money to get them to come in the door or to transact action with you. So really own that. And I think when you think about owning is not just own the relationship, you know, own the value transaction part of that, right? And I think that's kind of what you're leaning into here as well, isn't it? It's
totally
not just about getting them as a customer, it's actually own the fact that you're together and you're part of the partnership together.
You got it. And the reason why I use the word own is because you have to take responsibility for that as the supplier, as the person that's providing that service. So what you're doing is you're taking the responsibility to go, this customer is important for me now and in the future. Yeah. And what I'll do is I'll take the time to be able to understand that customer to a greater level and then use that information in the future.
Yeah, that is like it takes a mindset though. You know, but I think as part of the business advice, you know, the best business advice, that is something that you just have to do today. You know, because you spend the money, and if you spend the money and take advantage of that, then you're going to get so much more value for your advertising dollars too, right? Your marketing dollars.
Well, you know this better than anybody that it is expensive to get new customers, right?
Totally.
The ability for us to know who your customer base is, have some information for us to be able to identify them and communicate with them, reduces your ongoing marketing cost.
Yeah, and I think also it just gives the better customer experience too, right?
Totally.
Yeah, but also it gives a bit of that wow factor, you know, like, okay, what happens on your birthday? You know, I wish I actually, thinking about this now, I wish I actually knew my customers' birthdays. I actually do wish I knew that, you know, like we celebrate anniversaries of businesses and stuff like that, and you know, but it'd be cool to know my customers' birthdays, you know.
But I'll get you to have to think about this, and you know this again, is if you're using, for example, Facebook, it will remind you every day that your customer network who is actually has their birthday today. So to be able to gradually over time take that information into your own system and then be able to ring Mr. Mrs. or Mr. Smith and go, hey, I just want to acknowledge it's your birthday.
Yeah.
I mean, what an impact that makes on your customers.
So good. So good. What else would they do to own that customer?
Second one is stop selling and start becoming the trusted advisor.
Yeah, nice.
And this is one of the things that I see all the time is a lot of businesses, especially the market that we've got right now, trying to sell customers into product.
Yes.
Actually, the biggest thing that you and I as customers really don't want is someone trying to sell us into a product.
Yeah.
So what we want is advice. We want to understand the customer need and then be able to propose the solutions. And that's what a good trusted advisor does.
And sadly, because I got someone who contacted me this morning, a client of ours, and they wanted to know if this was a good deal. And I'll let you decide if this is a good deal. They want to run radio for 1 month, and it's under $2,000, and it's 15 seconds, and they get some tickets to a concert as part of the deal. Now, do you think the trusted advisor is selling them that, or someone who's just trying to trip you into a deal?
Totally a better deal.
Yeah. And it's sad that the business owner's been in business long enough, and I know he'll be listening to this. So sorry if you're hearing this a bit of counselling advice here, but you got two marketing experts in the room, and seriously, don't do that deal.
No way.
It's not a deal. And I know times are tough, and you want to get in front of people, but spending money for a month, 15 seconds at a time, the person giving you that offer is not looking after your business.
So here's the piece to spin that round on them and say, I tell you what, I'll pay you a 10% share in any business that we get off this particular campaign for the month, which will end up, if we do this well, we'll pay way more than the advertising cost you put in place. How about we take that risk together? And you watch what happens.
Yeah, the risk won't get taken. No.
Because
concert tickets back.
Because then it's about selling somebody into something rather than advising them on what's the best product that they need. And I look across so many industries right now, and we've come out of an environment which was very much an order-taking type environment, and especially over that COVID period. And now we've got a situation where we need people to be understanding why they're making the purchase at a time when some of them can be really financially stressed. But actually, if the right information and the right advice is there, you can still go ahead with the purchase. Yeah.
Well, there's blood in the water, and some of these companies know it, right? So they're going out there and just hawking these offers. You better to take that $2,000 and go, okay, well, who are my trusted advisors that could give me business? And go and buy those guys and girls morning teas, and go and talk to them, go and actually spend some time educating them on the products that you've got and who they could help.
Oh, so what you're saying is own the relationship.
Own the relationship, exactly. You're better to spend that money.
You are so better, and especially the way the environment is right now, is you've got to be able to have those conversations to make sales happen. If you think you're going to do it just by a flashing offer out in the market, it's not going to work, because people are not picking that up, but they will pick it up if there's a good sound reason and advice off the back of it.
Yeah, because I'm battering the airways at the moment. You must design the marketing strategy to pick the tactics to produce the results you want, right? So that is a tactic that's not part of your strategy. So all of a sudden, and the outcome of that, hey, look, you might snag 5 clients. It might actually be worth it, but long term, it's not, right?
Well, it's not adding to the long term.
Long term.
It's giving you a short term solution. Yeah. And the problem with that is that you can only do that for so long with the level of capital that you need to have.
Yeah. No, it's anyway, that's happening. So owning the relationship, we're going to, what's next?
Another one is the data. So one of the things nowadays that when it comes to owning a relationship, you have to own more data around your clients. So that's about collecting their information, collecting who they are, where they live, what their email address is. Yeah. Just those connection points. Because I look at a lot of businesses these days, and you sort of talk to them about databases and client lists, and even though we know this and probably have been educated on this for 20 years, I think most businesses are still pretty crap at their data. Yeah. And what we've got to do is spend some time cleaning that data up, because I look at, obviously, working a bit in Australia. One of the things is some new legislation about you cannot now cold call your clients or cold call the market. So in a situation, you can only call people where you have permission to ring.
Wow.
So you and I both know that the New Zealand regulators are always looking across the ditch.
Totally.
So I would say that that's on its way.
Yeah.
So right now, this is a perfect time for businesses to be really clear on getting good data, clean it up, invest the time and the money, because it will help you own your customers and it secures your business for the future.
Okay, so businesses listening to this, and this is great advice, what do they do to clean their data up?
Well, number one is get it in a central place.
Yep.
I still see businesses that some have got it on Excel spreadsheets, some have got it in one database, then they change to another database, and then they've got it on another system over here. Get all that data in one place.
So what could they use?
There's lots of systems.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't recommend one, but I go, hey, watch for your industry sector, which systems are best used for those, and then...
Yeah, because law firms have certain databases, accountants have certain databases.
Yeah, automotive industry has their own ones. So just hunt out the right one and the best ones for your sector. Then put all your data in the one place. And then get and I'm going to say this nice and gently to the sales teams, to make some calls to your existing client base for cleaning up the data and engaging with your relationships with those clients on that database, to say, g'day, how you going? We thought we'd just check in. And by the way, just make sure the data's up to date.
Nice.
So now we've got reason to call.
Yep.
We've now got owning the relationship, and we're doing the cleanup of the data at the same time.
Nice. And any business can do that, right? That's really,
And right now, it's critical, because everyone, especially in the sales space right now, what do you reckon the main comment is that people are saying to me?
Yeah.
Who do I call?
Who do I call?
What do I say? And why haven't I got any clients?
Yeah.
Well, now what we've got to do is create reasons to reach out.
Yeah.
And that's a good one.
Yeah, totally. Good reasons to reach out, connecting. I think also if you're reaching out right now, like reach out with value. A good example of that is I was showing a guy the other day and I could tell he was a wee bit nervous about some stuff. So I then shot him another video showcasing someone else who had done it. And here's what he'd done, and it was just giving that value to show, hey, it's okay. Someone else has done this. Like someone else has run this race before you. And I could hear that, so reaching out with value is a great way. Don't just reach out to, find some value that you can add to that conversation.
So you didn't see the piece of paper that I had my notes on at the start, but number 2 on that list is what?
Value. Yeah. You just give people value, right?
Because the pieces right now, you and me as customers right now, we are more savvy about what our purchasing and our buying process could be or should be.
Yeah.
Our expectation is really high that we get well looked after. Yeah. So one of the things is, as businesses now, you've got to really understand what their value proposition is.
Yeah.
And write it down.
Yeah.
Actually get your team to sit down in a room and go, let's just write down what our value proposition is from a customer perspective. And as soon as you do that, you'll either go, wow, we provide great value, or maybe it's a bit light and there's some things here that we could do to tighten that up.
I had a good chat to my team the other day about this, because I can see that business owners, because I'm talking to a lot of potential business owners and just having good chats. I can see that they're hurting. There's a lot of people lost and confused. And I said, team, we're going to double down on training. I want everyone to double down on training, because I want you having better conversations and getting better results, because people, we add value to the marketplace, and we're prepared to have tough conversations, and we add value to the marketplace. We know who our customer is, and look, this is the value that we add, and we're really adding a lot of value. So let's now not be scared to go out with that value, because 100%. Business owners need it, right?
Sorry, they're looking for it.
They're looking for it, yeah.
So and I say in our sectors, that's exactly right. But I tell you, right across most sectors right now, the customers are looking for value, because they're going, actually, I do need to upgrade my car, but should I do it now? Well, what car should I buy? Well, what are the best options, whether it's electric or go diesel or stick with petrol? Or I need someone to give me some advice. Don't sell me a car. Give me some advice about which one I should buy. And that all of a sudden changes the relationship with, again, towards that advisor piece, but it shows your value.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, seriously, that was some good advice, eh? Not bad for your best business advice. I think you touched on some really good stuff there. I did like the trusted advisor piece. That is the biggest one for me right now in the marketplace. Go in and talk to some trusted advisors. Listen to the things that they're sharing with you. And then if you really still in that, I'm not sure, go and ask to talk to some of your clients. Go and say, hey, I'd love to go and talk to some of the people that you've been working working with, because, I reckon success leaves clues, but so does failure. And I think that's really
100%.
important.
I tell you what, and this is just a quick story. I came through the financial services industry right at the time where the government decided to regulate the financial services industry. Government saw the financial services industry as very much selling product, and they felt that wasn't giving clients. So we were selling insurance, selling mortgages, selling financial planning.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, when they wanted us to go down the track of giving clients advice and much stronger advice, so they created regulation to do that. Right?
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, you had a whole industry that went from selling to now having to become clients' trusted advisors.
Nice.
And we did some research on that and worked through, it was a book and it was called The Trusted Advisor. And there's a concept in it that's just to develop trust with clients, you need credibility, who you are. You need reliability so that you consistently show up. And you've got to be willing to have intimate conversations. So if you do those three things, customers will start to trust you.
Yeah.
And the one thing you can't do is give them a sniff that you're giving this advice for your financial interest.
Yeah.
And as soon as you give a sniff that you're doing this because of your business, they will not trust you.
No. And that's, like everyone can smell that,
So one of the things that I do often is work with industries that are going through this shift from what I would say sales industry to more a trusted advice industry, and we work through those concepts.
So good. Hey man, I appreciate you coming in and sharing this wisdom.
So good.
So this is our 100th podcast episode. Look, one thing you need to do, you're listening to a whole bunch of conversations, but I'm saying it every time, just share this podcast. Business owners right now need to hear what Darren and all these other guys and girls are saying. Like they're dropping value bombs all over the place here. So if I was you, get a piece of paper, go through, rewind this, go back through what Darren's sharing there and write some things down that can really help your business. And then once you've done that, go and take some action. Take the one thing that you need to do and go and do it. But then the second thing you need to do is you need to share this podcast. You need to share it. I need you to share this podcast because this is the thing that's going to help us grow more businesses. We're helping more businesses. I'm getting contacted all the time. It's really cool. I'm getting text messages and phone calls from businesses listening to this saying, hey, thanks for sharing. Thanks for having that person on. Well, this is one of those ones that you need to share. All right, guys, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. As always, take care, have fun, and I'll talk to you really soon.
Thanks very much, everyone. Cheers.
Amanda VK, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thank you for having me back.
Seriously, this is our 100th episode, so this is getting released. I'm asking people one question. What's your best business advice?
So I think the first thing that came to mind when you asked me that question before I came along was about knowing what you aren't is as important as knowing what you are.
Brilliant.
So a lot of people focus on what they are and the positive outcomes, but they don't look at the other side of it and figure out what it is that they actually don't want.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is it's the best tip that I can give you for staying focused in your business.
Nice.
Usually the easiest thing that it is to articulate.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when we give them feedback for branding, for example, we say, well, what is it that you don't like about what we've presented?
Nice.
And then they can find the words and we can hone in what we need to do. And then we go, well, now I understand what you do like as much as what you don't like. It also resonates with people better.
Yeah.
So
it's more natural, funnily enough, for people to go what they don't like, eh?
Exactly, yeah. And we're told not to be negative.
Yeah.
But it isn't a negative spin. It's really just another way of looking at the same coin, the other side of the coin. Most people do find it better to make decisions as well. So when you can't, I think for hiring, when you can't put your finger on what is good about that person, or what is, they're good enough, or that their client is good enough. But when you actually can break down what it is that you don't want, then you can actually also articulate why they might have been a good fit, but they're not quite a good fit, and you can, I guess, verbalize what it is that you can make a better decision around.
I really like it. So the question is, what is it what was the question? What aren't you?
So it's knowing what you're not.
Well, knowing what you're not. I love that.
Yeah. It also helps you with your things like your target market and all your branding as well. So I can imagine how much clearer you could just get if you just wrote down what you're not. Exactly.
And I'm starting to. That's why I was kind of fumbling. My brain is going. My brain's going a million miles an hour. How much that would help, in the whole process, knowing what you're not. Okay, just tell me what you're not, and people will just rattle that off, and then you can look at the flip side and they're okay. So you were this, and then you could hone that to know. Okay, yeah, and you get closer and closer and closer. Because if I asked you, well, what are you and who are you and stuff, and people will just they do go a wee bit blank, right? But
they do, or they get fumbly with their words, or they get wishy-washy, or we get somebody that really focuses on what they do want, but then they, instead of sort of shutting up, they then go, oh, but we also do this and we do that, and then everything all of a sudden just gets diluted, and you feel the energy just leaves the room for a start.
Yeah.
But then when we sort of flip that question around and say, okay, well, what are you not? It's a bit like you. You sort of get that, oh, nobody's ever asked me that before.
Asked me that, yeah.
And then, that usually gets an entirely different conversation happening.
Going.
And it's usually the gems that we get out of that are as valuable as those initial first thoughts that we get when somebody comes to us with a problem that they need solved.
So good. It's great advice. So if someone was like, okay, well, what's the thing that they need to do next? They're writing the list of what they're not, and what should they do next when they're going through this exercise?
I think it's just as important to have that in front of them. So it's actually quite an empowering process to go through as well. So the next step would be to look at the why. So we often say the Simon Sinek start with why. But we can start with the why on that list as well. So, why do you want to have those goals? Why do you want to achieve those things? And conversely, why do you not want to attract that type of customer? Or what outcomes are you actually trying to avoid that just helps you steer that path to a little bit more focus?
It's interesting. I'm thinking of a client, or not a client, a prospect that I went to see the other day, and I can imagine if he'd thought about what he's not, he wouldn't be doing some of the marketing that he was doing, because he was doing some really strange marketing. I asked him about it, and I asked him why. When I asked him who his ideal target market was, it was more high end, but his marketing was doing very low end. And I was like, why are you doing the low end when the client that you want is up here or over there? And he goes, I don't know what else to do. And if he just asked that question, what am I not, he would have got a lot clearer. I'm going to go back to him and ask him that question, by the way. So,
well, and I was like that in your industry as well. We talk about positive keywords and negative keywords, and that's just something that you do as by the by. But to really go, well, let's make it very clear who we're not attracting.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier to then have a more robust conversation with your client, so that when they do start drifting off to the side, you can go, hang on a minute, remember we talked about those things that you don't want? Well, this is now going to take you down that path, or it's muddying the waters. So let's pop that aside, and it pulls them up, and then they go, oh, okay. And then we can have a more focused conversation about what they do want, and get back to that productive side of managing their marketing and getting them clear about what it is what they want to do.
This is some gold from a branding expert. Seriously, if I was you, I'd take some time today, get out your piece of paper and write some things about what you're not. What are you not? And when you look at who you are and what you do, what is the complete opposite, and what you are not. Look, one thing we're not is we don't build websites. And we do not. We look for partners. We found you guys. You would do probably 80% of all the website work that we have now. And for me, that is a breath of fresh air, because we're not in that space. We're good at what we are good at, but we're not. And then we find someone like yourselves, and you guys are just good at that. That was a good thing for us. We know what we're not good at.
And I think it's actually bullet point number 4 that I had was about being able to use that to build better partnerships with other businesses as well. So the words that I guess I hate people uttering are one-stop shop.
Yeah.
That's a brand nightmare. And also a full-service agency.
Yes.
Because I think that to be more focused in what you do need to build partnerships with with digital influence. Whenever we finish a branding exercise or a website, we love giving you a toolkit to take away, because then your guys take it and run with it. And we're like, gosh, we would never have done that, because we're not specialists in social media and digital advertising. It's just
Yeah, and I think that collaboration part of it really, really works, right? And that's the key to especially when you want the best results for people, for your clients. I think that's where collaboration really, really does work. When you've got two parties that want the best result for the client versus someone trying to hold on to everything and doing maybe a 70% job.
Well, and that's what makes, I'm going to say the word greedy, but it is, because even though you could probably deliver it, you'd do it half-assed, I'm not allowed to say asked, but half-assed, it'll take longer than it needs to, and it wouldn't have as good a result or an outcome as if you just handed it off to somebody that knows exactly what it is that they need to do with it to do their part of the job.
So good. Now, okay, speaking of being greedy, I'm going to be greedy. What have you got any other advice?
Goodness, you're lucky that I got one.
Hey, look, you've been in business a long time. You've been through the ups, the downs, and you've seen it. And I guess, that's the thing. I love talking to business owners that have experience. And I think the more you can, as a person listening, the more you can lean into someone with experience. What Amanda taught you today around that exercise is something that will give you a lot of clarity. And I think that's what business owners need right now. So,
stay the path, I guess, was the other thing too, is with that, I guess on the back of that is, the temptation to be everything to everybody because you don't want to pass up a sale, especially in tight times, but it's actually these times that you do need to just stay focused. And when you say no to something, it gives you the confidence and the empowerment to stay the course with what it is that you want to do in your business. And then those gaps, you're leaving space for the good clients by saying no or respectively passing them on to somebody else. Yeah, because you'll fill that vacuum for sure, and that's part of knowing what you're not, what you are for. Because if you stay in your lane, you end up doing really good business for people that you want to do business for. And sometimes you just have to be patient. Like we're talking to a reasonably big company yesterday, and I know we got looked over 6 months ago. But they've now come back because kind of what I said would play out has played out, and I didn't want to push that hard and be hey I told you so, but I said hey things we know things people do overpromise in our industry, and we've just kept adding value to the conversation, and all of a sudden they've come back in and gone okay. And so you just have to, and you get that from experience, and you learn, right? But look, I really appreciate you coming on. Straight away, you've given me some things to think about. So if I've got things to think about, you've got things to think about. One thing I need you to do is share this podcast. Who needs to hear what Amanda said today? It's her business advice. She's been in business for a long time, grown her brand company, doing websites and that for a lot of different businesses and helping them grow. So please share this podcast. Share it with people. Share it with a business owner that needs to hear this advice, and the world will be a better place for it. So, Amanda, thanks for coming back. Thank you very much for having me. I've appreciated it.
Awesome.
Great
okay,
to be here.
Go out there, take action, and have some fun. And we'll talk to you really soon. Brent and Holt, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Let's go.
Mate, so good to have you back. Got one question for you. This is part of our 100th episode. What is your best business advice?
Give 7 chicken nuggets.
What?
Yeah. When you buy 6 chicken nuggets.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, cool, I got what I paid for.
Yeah.
But if they just slip in a 7th, you're stoked.
Oh, yeah. My son would be super stoked if that happened.
Yeah. But then if you got 5 chicken nuggets, you're real disappointed. So give your client 7 chicken nuggets.
Give your client 7 chicken nuggets. Give me some examples of that, because that is actually brilliant advice straight off the bat.
I think ultimately giving more than what they expect.
Yeah.
Even if it's down to simply showing up on time or earlier, you're giving them more than what they expect.
Yeah, and that's such a simple thing, and it's often overlooked, right? People, turn up early. Give someone a nice coffee cup, do those little things that matter. And one thing I noticed, and this is we're on a photo shoot with you, and you started sweeping the area around when we were shooting with Novus, and I thought, here's a guy who does the extras, and it's those little things that people notice that go, he's good,
Yeah, I mean, I've always been conscious of how much to give, what can you make it better?
Yeah.
Even over and above what you're getting paid for.
Yeah, totally.
I think there's so much value in that.
Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate. Man, times are tough. Geez, I can't be giving 7 chicken nuggets. I can barely give you 5. I can barely give you 6. What do you say to that kind of person who's going, well, it's easy for you to say, but it's hard for me to do?
Oh, man, it doesn't have to be financial. It even can just be an amazing email sending thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Giving back that, we're all consumers at the end of the day, and we're all stoked if we just get that little bit more, like a smiling person that hands you the coffee. They've given you more than what you paid for.
Yeah. I think that's a good one too. Just like that little extra bit. Maybe it's the smile. I think Jason Gunn says it great. He always goes on about, he's makes someone's day, and like shouting them a coffee, person behind you and stuff like that. It costs nothing to become part of someone's day, and I think it's a real mindset. Well, give me some examples of where you've done that for people that you've dealt with and the impact that's made.
One example that comes to mind is as my DJing role. I might not be always playing music on the deck. It's always going or happening and all that sort of thing. But during the day, there might be somebody like grandma. It might be a cold day, and we're like, oh, well, she doesn't know where blankets are, but I do. I'll go get her a blanket. You're giving them more than what they're paying for. So they paid me for a DJ, but I'm actually looking out for people. Yeah, it didn't cost me anything.
Do you think that's something that you've learnt over time? Is that something that ingrained growing up? You learnt to give a little bit more because someone else did that for you?
I've never actually stopped to think about it, to be honest.
I guarantee someone in your life has done extra for you.
Yeah, well, Dad's pretty. Yeah. Dad always goes the extra mile.
And it's rubbed off, right?
I think that must have.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. I was thinking hard when you asked me about the top business advice. Yeah. I was thinking, what would I tell myself? Back in the day, and I think just be that guy that gives a little bit more.
Because it's a small hinge that can swing a massive door, right? Small hinges swing big doors. This is a small hinge anyone can do. Yeah. But most people won't. It takes a thinking and a mindset and a want to give of service to actually go and do that sort of stuff. But I tell you what, when you do it, it opens up doors, because that lady, the lady who says, Brent, he's a nice boy, and they'll be talking about such and such, and he bought me over, was it a blanket? A blanket, and then such and such will say, and he played great music, and this and this and this and this, and it all just adds up. The little things just add up. I know. I learned how to be reasonably good at hospitality and being curious from my nana. My nana was really good at hospitality. She worked in hospitality, but she always had people around her house, and I kind of learned how to engage with people. And I think that's something I learned that I've now transferred into my business life and even in just normal day to day. It's amazing what you pick up that you don't probably understand where you got it from. Okay, I'll be greedy because that's what I do on this podcast, especially this 100th one. What is one piece of good advice? Doesn't have to be your best. Well, it can be if you want.
Okay, I'll try my best.
When it comes to video in 2024.
My best piece of advice for 2024: just do it.
Just do it.
Get amongst it.
What do you mean by that? Because what do you say to? Well, I'll call him John because he knows I'm talking about
John.
him.
Yeah.
What is John? How do you help John when he's never done video before and he's a little bit nervous, and you just say go on and do it, and you're easy for you because you're a videographer and all this sort of stuff? What do you say to John who's really nervous, maybe a little bit older, wants to get out there, wants to step into it? What are some of the things he could do to step into getting good at video? Because I know just do it is actually probably the right answer.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done.
It's easier said than done, right? Because, I was talking to Paul Wright before, and he talked about the 20 seconds of courage. He learned it from Gilbert Anoka. Find ways you can have 20 seconds of courage. Okay. And that was about, so if someone asked people if they had any questions, be the person to put up your hand and ask that question. Oh, yeah. Because no one else is asking the question, but everyone wants to ask the question. Yeah. Be the person that stands up and gives the feedback, because everyone else wants to give feedback, but no one's prepared to stand up and do it, So there's finding those 20-second moments of courage, I think, can help John. Yeah. What else?
Well, I think even just practicing in your room or something like that, just talking to your phone, getting your words out, recording it, listening. You don't even have to listen back, just knowing that you're being recorded. Yeah. If that's content that you can get practice like anything, if the more you do it, the better you get at it, right? No matter what it is. Apart from golf.
Yeah. You have to play. You have to play a lot. Yeah.
I'm not scared of that.
No. I showed something to my team the other day. It was a video that I shot it was about 11, 12 years ago. It was in my really small office. The office would have been about the size of this table. And I shot a video talking about the state of the internet and how the internet was going to take over. And there were some things in the video that when I talked about e-commerce and how people would be not shopping in a physical shop, they'd be shopping online. And it was funny, like seeing back how bad that video was. But I think you've got to go through the bad ones to get to the good ones. And I've actually showed a few more people those videos that I created, 11, 12 years ago, because I think they need to see, you come across as confident and all that sort of stuff. Now, when a lady said to me the other day, I'm very confident, I said, yeah, but I've been doing this a long time, and I'm prepared to just give it a go because I know what's on the other side. On the other side of this is business, right? Is being able to communicate with people, be able to help people. So, yeah, I think, it's a great tip. Just get in your own and turn the camera on.
Just try.
Yeah, and they don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
They don't have to go anywhere. They can just be there.
We are our own worst critic too. Maybe record a couple. Yeah. And then be like, oh, that wasn't actually too bad a take. And then perhaps show one of your trusted peers. Yeah.
Well, one thing I've learned with humans as well is they do worry about what other people think of them. And the more I've dealt with, highly successful people, they don't really care so much what other people think of them. They care about what their close family and the people that they care about think of them, but they're not worrying about what other people are thinking about them, because most of the times those other people aren't thinking about them. They're thinking about themselves, and so they just get on with what they're getting on with, and they realise they know who they help, which is the big one.
That would be the other thing for content for if you're recording, isn't it? Like you're trying to help your clients, your customers. From the heart stuff, you're trying to help them. So just any type of knowledge, something that you're trying to help them. Nothing bad can come from that, right?
No. And I think that's what John needs to keep in mind. John needs to keep in mind that he's actually putting out content that can help people, can actually add value to people's day. And if he doesn't share it, someone else is going to, and someone else, their advice might not be as good as John's. So being able to step out there and share is a real, it does take, a bit of confidence to do it, but hey, on the other side of that, there's another world opens up to you when it comes to video.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Mate, that's great advice. You definitely stumbled me there. What are you talking about chicken nuggets? It was good advice. So here's the thing. You're listening to the podcast. You're going, right, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I think you should do. You should get out a piece of paper today and write where some of those small things where you could give 7 chicken McNuggets versus just 6. Like find an area in your business where you can give more. Give more than you receive. And trust me, I know this because I got told I needed to do this in 2004 by a guy called Brent. I was at the World Internet Summit. He said to me, I said, how do I leave the corporate world? He says, go start sharing what you know about marketing for free. I thought he was a bit stupid when he first said it, but I'm living proof that it works. So go and give more, give away some chicken nuggets. And
people love chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets. I love chicken. I love chicken wings.
Oh man!
Seriously. So go and do that. Hey, one more thing you need to do is you need to share this podcast. We've had 100 episodes. You'll be enjoying the content on this podcast. So once you've taken your notes, go and share the podcast. Share a podcast. Tag someone who needs to listen to this podcast, because this podcast has got so much good information. I'm learning stuff just from listening and interviewing these guys and girls. So please do me a favour, share the podcast. All right, Brendan, thanks for your time. Appreciate it as always.
So good. Well done. Congratulations. That's so cool.
Yeah, awesome. All right, here's the 200. Take care.
Let's go. Cheers.
Kane, Lawson, welcome back to the Marketing for Business Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Scott.
Mate, you were the third person to come on the podcast, and we're coming up to our 100th episode. This will actually be released on our 100th episode. Yep. I've got one question for you. Look, I believe success leaves clues. Also, failure does as well, by the way. But success leaves clues. I want to know, what is your best business advice?
My best business advice would be communication.
Yep. Why is that?
One word. Because I feel like people that have got good communication stand out from the rest.
Yep.
And it can be applied to all parts of your business. So it can be applied to your customers, your staff, your business partner, your suppliers, and everyone in between. If you're communicating well with all those people, you will go well.
Yeah. And do you think communication it's not just what people say too, right? It's how people present, how people turn up, how people hold themselves.
Yep.
You see a lot of that?
100%. Like it's just when you actually sit down and think about it, it controls so much of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it can actually lead to a lot of opportunities. And a lot of opportunities that I've had have come from I like to think that I'm a good communicator and I communicate promptly, have come from that. You know, when you're in business, you deal with people all the time, and so many people are just the normal, right? So you deal with them, and the normal is the normal, you're used to it. But when someone stands out from that in the way they condone themselves or communicate, it makes you think, hey, you know, have you got an opportunity that you could maybe employ that person or do a joint venture with that person, and it can lead to opportunities. So for me personally, that has led to opportunities, and I think that that's based on the fact of how I've communicated with some people, and maybe it's taken 3 or 4 years' time, but when you do communicate well, you stick in people's minds, I believe.
Yeah, totally. I remember a good mate of mine, he would always say, if he was at the garage and someone gave him good service, he'd whip his business card back round saying, hey, have you ever thought of getting into security or this? Come and see me, because I've got opportunities for good people that have good communication skills.
100%.
And I always remembered how he would interact with people, and I think that's so key. What are some things that, if people were listening to this, what are some of the things they could do to improve their communication?
Well, communicate would be a good start. Yeah. Like, a lot of people don't answer their emails promptly or at all. Yeah. And you can also over communicate, right? Yeah. You can go too far with it. Yeah. So I think it's just really when someone requires something from you or a service from your business that you should be offering, at least go back to them with what they've asked for. Yeah. Promptly, efficiently, and detail and answer the questions they've asked. Yeah. That's really where I see it. And then it leads back from there. Yeah. Because I say so many things I do on a daily basis. I look at it and just the service is just not there. And to me, service is based on communication. Yeah, I remember when we talked on the podcast, you really emphasised service and being of service, to people. And one of the things I like about what you do there, Kane, is that we've talked about this today during our meeting, is you actually communicate people back to how they've communicated to you. So if they ring you, you ring them. If they email you, email you. And there's real, I like the way you're doing that, is communicating how people want to be communicated to, right? Yeah, 100%. I've always done that. And I think that whether it's right or wrong, it's worked well for me. I always touch back with people on the way they first touch base with me, like you've just said. And the other thing, just going back to what you said earlier on with meeting people at the service station or that, like there's so many stories I know of people who now have done really well, who have worked at, for example, Harvey Norman. Yeah. If you go to Harvey Norman or those likes of those stores and you buy something, usually you get a reasonable service, but if you get a really good service, it stands out. It stands out, And a lot of people have been employed from those roles into really good positions, and you do never know who you're dealing with. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, especially today, right? You don't know. Like, it used to be the certain type of person would roll up, and but now they can just anyone. You don't know. Like, I could go in there to buy a microwave, for example, and they sell you a microwave and that's all fine, but they don't actually know who they're dealing with. So you always got to keep in mind, you don't actually know who you're dealing with, and if you condone yourself correctly, you just never know what it could lead to. And I think that's a good skill set too, right? Just to understand that, hey, give everyone the same service, communicate everyone the same way. And I think that's a philosophy. You're either going to have it or you're not going to have it, like, to some degree. Like, you've either got to want to serve people and want to communicate to people, or you're probably just going to be that run of the mill. And because the thing is, people who stand out do communicate well. You just know, hey, look. And also, I think you get referred because people know that you will look after the people too. The communication's going to, because the last thing you want to do is refer someone and then no one gets back to that person. 100%. And we're talking, I guess you're talking about more of a sales background here, and you want the people to be, that you refer to be pampered and felt good, and it makes you feel good if you do a referral. But also, more so in my life now, or in my work life, we're dealing with professionals, which can be, architects, engineers and the likes of, and they're not really in a sales-based role, but their communication can be diabolical. So when we deal with someone who has good communication, they really stand out. Yeah. And by default, they're actually not selling themselves, but they are. No, they are. And then they get our business. So I've certainly noticed it in that sector that we're in now, that can be, the interesting rich communication. Yeah, and the reason you want to deal with them is because you know the value of time. Yeah. And if someone's going to give you good service and good communication, they're going to actually save you time. You don't actually want to deal with cheap, you want to deal with professional, right? 100%. And also, what we're dealing with now is very elaborate. And if someone drops the ball on something, there's quite detailed documents, engineering documents, consenting documents, and so on. And if someone's not communicating well with me at the start, I feel nervous that they're going to drop the ball at the end. Yeah. And we can have a project that's all but finished, but someone hasn't done their job right. Yeah. And we can't get a sign-off or the likes of, and that can just morph into a bigger issue. So I think that, again, when you asked me at the start, communication is the big thing for me, because I just feel like good communicators are on top of what they need to be doing.
Well, there you go, people. Communicate and look, follow Kane online and see what he's doing. He's a very good communicator. Deals in the property area, and doing a lot of transactions a year. So you actually do have to communicate. So Kane, really appreciate you coming back, man.
Cool, mate.
Thank you.
Hopefully I did a better job than the third one, because after I came on third and then I watched the other 90, I thought I did a bad job.
We'll definitely get you back in because you've got some more exciting stuff to share with people. So I really appreciate you being here. Thanks,
mate. Cheers.
Brent Selwyn, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thank you.
And I think you were the fourth person I had on the podcast, and now this episode is our 100th episode.
Yeah.
And I've been asking people what's their best business advice. So you can either give me your best business advice that you've ever had, or what's working right now for you in your business.
Probably going to be a bit repetitive in terms of talking about things that I spoke about in the podcast, but best business advice for me, I guess, was to continue learning, always continue learning, right? So I've made a policy over the last 15 years, and you've been involved in most of that, of just keeping learning and trying new things.
Yeah, nice.
In terms of right here, right now, keeping in touch with the captive audience, the 80-20 principle. We've got, 80% of captive clients, so we're doing some promotions to them, which you guys are helping with. Also, I guess at your request and your suggestion, kickstarting more Google advertising and Facebook advertising to get to that audience and a wider audience. And importantly, I think for us now, video.
Yeah.
Because we have been a bit behind the times in getting more of that done. We've got a lot of our younger people on board, and it's great that they are helping with that. But I think just generally across the last 15 odd years that I've known you and been dealing with you, just an ability to keep learning and to try new things.
Yeah.
So for me, I've tried all sorts of things that lawyers wouldn't do, like, cold letter drops. Some of which really work quite successfully. I set up a website after the red zone. And I wouldn't have done that had I not met you, and through you, guys called Phil Benoit.
Yeah, that's right.
And, people like that, so setting up a website called theredzone.net.nz was a really successful move for my law firm and netted a whole lot of clients.
Because that's the cool thing about doing and learning, right? When you learn stuff, you can then start to implement it, get the feedback from the marketplace, you hear if it's working, and really start to, I guess, lean into some of those things, because you never know what's going to happen if you don't give it a go. And that one thing I like dealing with business owners who are action takers. They don't sit there and go, oh, the market's tough, or the market's this or that. Just get in and do it. Like that was after the earthquakes. It would have been easy not to do anything, right?
Yeah, and I acted quickly because it immediately, Mr. Brownlee at the time, the minister, announced that the government was forming a thing called the Red Zone. I thought, great opportunity to play. Now, would I have thought of that if I hadn't met you and Phil? Not a chance. The other thing I've got is I've got a website still to this day called conveyancinglawyer.co.nz.
Perfect.
And that, for a while, before someone rebuilt it and messed it up a bit, it was producing, I was probably my own best referrer.
Yeah.
And I would never have been able to do that or had the skills to do that.
Yeah.
I did that myself. I built a simple little WordPress website.
Yeah.
I probably still could.
I reckon you could redesign that, get it ready, probably get it back out in the marketplace.
That is the plan.
Yeah.
To do just that, because it was ranking so well that literally I was getting 2 or 3 leads a month from my own website by people finding me ranking somewhere between 1 and 3 at any given time.
Yeah.
Ahead
Sweet spot.
most of the big law firms advertising for key word structures like conveyancing lawyer. So, look, it's been a great journey for me, and I probably wouldn't have gone as far as I have on that journey or tried the things that I have without meeting you. And then, obviously, now in the last 8 or so years, your team at Digital Influence had longer than that.
Yeah. Well, the good thing there, Brent, is your willingness to learn and then implement. Now you've got a team around you, and now they are getting involved now as well, which I think is fantastic. It's always good to see. When the business owner's excited by it, then the team gets involved, and like everyone's got some really good knowledge inside the firm. So being able to get that out in the marketplace, and as I tell people, consistency of message, frequency of reach to become relevant. And if you want to have more people that may know who you are and what you do for them, and they either like you and build up that trust, the more business can flow your way. And I just think there's plenty of lawyers not doing it. you know, and that's the opportunity too. People are thirsty for the information and the insights that you guys give.
There are things that I've learned from listening to, like I listen to lots of what you do, and little things like building trust through giving away little bits of information. I think you call it influence through education. That's the catchphrase. And, I think that's a really pertinent thing, and I've tried to do that, and I hope that's what the Statist video campaign is about. And you're right, we've got young people that have stepped up and done some videos, and I'm really pleased about that, because prior to that, it's pretty much been me. And I think the clients want to see some of the younger face.
Yeah, I also think, and this is a really good tip for business owners to leverage the knowledge you have inside the firm. But also it's very hard for someone to maybe explain what you do, right? So by creating video content, you can then they can then pass the video. Oh, by the way, someone's explained it really well here. Watch this video. So it does broaden out the firm, broadens out the knowledge base as well, which is, end of the day, got things. You're going to have things working in you when you're not even, talking to people face to face, which is what I love about video, the communication tool that it is.
And since going to your last gig at the Elms, I've been looking through Google, just looking at the most commonly asked questions in different areas of law, with a view to then talking to you and Kellyanne and your team about doing more video in different areas. Like this month we've chosen wills and enduring powers of attorney.
So good.
But equally, we'd like to have a focus each month. And that was a good exercise, just going through and looking at the questions people are asking.
Yeah, sometimes they're the simple stuff, right?
And give away some information, with the ultimate aim being to build the trust and to build the brand.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about it, is people want to know that know, like, and trust is such a big thing in business, and we all know it, but it's leveraging the technology. We know what people are searching for. Let's give them back some information that can actually help them, get them a wee bit more advanced down the way when they're choosing to do business with someone.
The other thing that I've done recently, and again, I don't think I would have thought to do this if I hadn't taken on board some of what I've learned through your teachings, and that is just to take some updates about the Brightline test to the appropriate audience within the firm. Write a bit of an article about it, did a search of the database for investor clients particularly, and sent out an update to them.
Nice.
On that. No, it's pretty common sense really, but most of us in our game don't find the time to do it because we're busy.
And that's really valuable to those potential, they could be doing more with you, or they can hand it on to someone else. Hey, have you heard about this? All of a sudden that content's being leveraged, which is...
and look, today being the operative day, the 1st of July, it's not very often in this country that the government makes legislation retrospective. So that was quite exciting. And also the phasing back in of interest deductibility.
So that's moved from a 10-year period to a 2-year period?
Back to 2 years, carte blanche. So it doesn't matter, anyone that entered into a contract after I think it's the 30th of June 2 years ago, is now in that sweet spot where they could sell it. Without influencing the Brightline. And bring into play the Brightline test. So there's all sorts of stuff happening, and we try and keep on top of that.
One thing I heard there though, Brent, is your ability to stay current and learn. And I think that's what, when I talk to people, I say in my workshops, hey, going to give you another part-time job. People kind of laugh, and it's like, well, I want you to be a part-time marketer because I want you to be curious about what's going on. Because curious people, they think about how could this information help my clients? And that's what you're doing, by being curious. And I think that's, if you're listening to this podcast, become more curious about your marketplace and your business and how you can help people, because then you'll step into creating some content and give it away for free that can actually position you really, really well.
Yeah, and for anyone watching this, I still make a point of going to pretty much every seminar that I can that Scott puts on, because I always walk away with one little nugget that I then go back to Scott, even though he's already doing our work, saying, "Ooh, I liked that." Like there were different technologies that you talked about that were used in terms of writing and editing.
Oh, crazy.
And that stuff really, I love learning that stuff. You're never too old to keep learning.
No. And the good thing about it is, like what I always say there as well is educate yourself so you have enough knowledge to ask better questions of your marketing agency, and sometimes that's not the case. People just say, hey, catch this, you run it. But I love it when someone come and ask us questions and, they are up to date as well. It's definitely as a partnership, and it makes it work a lot better for both parties.
And look, I know I've done testimonials for you guys before, but I mean, it's a great relationship for us. 8 years, 9 years deep into the relationship with KT, and it's great.
That's so good. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, well, what are you taking away from this little episode? This is awesome. Like, Brent's a lifelong learner of marketing. He's probably one of the few lawyers that actually, goes deep and wants to know more about how he can help his client, and even build some websites to position. So I'd love to know, what's your takeaway from this episode? Like, you've been listening now, I don't know how we've maybe 20 episodes that we've got for people, for you listening. So let me know one of your takeaways in the comments, and looking forward to helping you with more of these podcast episodes. This is our 100th episode, so make sure you share it with people out on LinkedIn, out on Facebook, out on Instagram. Make sure you share it with people, and we'll help a few more business owners. So Brent, thank you for your time.
Thank you, and congratulations on 100 episodes of a fantastic podcast.
Cheers. Chris Tacon, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
How are you, Scott?
Mate, I'm excited to have you here because this is going live on our 100th episode.
Fantastic.
You were part of one of the first 10 or 12 that we did. So
privileged.
Yeah, mate, and I've known you for ages, so I've got one question for you, and I know it's going to be a ripper because you're a smart guy. What's your best business advice?
Oh, I think undoubtedly it's to understand people.
Nice.
For me personally, I've always tried to predetermine a little bit, or try to understand what I'll be met with before I get there. I try to research people and sort of understand what they're about before meeting them. I've probably given a bit away there before I meet anyone in the future, right? But it's good to, I think, understand the way different characters apply themselves and just to prepare yourself for that, Things are all different.
Because everyone is different, right? And you can do some research online these days, and you actually get software that can actually help you as well, right?
I use an AI thing for that, actually. So
which one do you use?
I use a thing called Crystal Nodes that Nick Burns showed me years ago, and plug it into LinkedIn. Yeah. That'll show you on the disc profile where you are in relation to that person. It's quite handy.
I remember when Nick showed us that, and I went back and did myself, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a bit scary. It's a bit accurate."
It's quite accurate, actually. It's quite
So what do you reckon the importance of that is?
Well, I think that it allows you to adapt to the situation, because you're going to have two customers. They're human beings. They are going to react in different ways to the things you put in front of them, whether they're excited about something you want to maybe provide to them or a difficult situation. Knowing how to deal with that. If you understand different character types, I think you're better prepared.
I reckon the essence of understanding people is so critical in a business, right? Because I just like a couple of weeks ago, we had a meeting, and the guy wanted to get straight into it. Hi D, straight into it. Like no chit chat, no nothing, straight into it. Then you got other people that will come along and they want to have a bit of ebb and flow, and how's your day and what's going on, and so to understand that's really, really important, right?
I think it is, and it's not even just for externally as well to your customers, but internally for your team. And for me, my role is really about leadership, and so really understanding how to get the best from my team is important. They're all the same.
What are some of the ways you do that?
Well, I think the first way is to really understand what motivates them. And also what they're worried about, what gets them awake at night. Once you understand those two things, you can kind of work a lot more efficiently.
I learned something really cool from Stephen Fleming, who was the ex Black Cap captain over the years, and I had a chat to him, and we were talking about high performance and dealing with people, and I said, what's some of the things that you've done? And he said, well, I stopped having team meetings and started having individual meetings. And I asked him why, and he said, well, I wanted to get to know my people on an individual level. And he said it because when he went to India and they kept winning the T20s, and I was like, what were you doing differently? He said, I just handle kind of team meetings, and I just met individuals. He says, I got to understand them as a person more. And I thought that was genius, right?
100%. And I also say, don't make those formal catch-ups all the time. Just grab someone and say, hey, come and have a chat, and how is your partner, and how are the kids, and what's happening there, and just if you set it down as a formal thing all the time, it becomes all
true. So making it informal, making it so that's very cool.
Absolutely. You want some more?
I always want more, Chris. You know me. I will suck you for more ideas, mate. I reckon people should be greedy when it comes to asking. When you're in front of someone who really knows their stuff and has been in business a while, if they're giving you time, you should be greedy.
Well, that's one of the things I've got written down. But before that, I've got down here knowing what the score is. I've been lucky enough to have a few business mentors over the years.
Nice.
And one of them, mate of mine, Brian, he always used to say, if you don't know what the score is, you don't know whether you're winning or losing. And he used to say, Richie McCaw when he was playing. Like he didn't, every stoppage of play, he was looking at the scoreboard every time. He didn't wait till the end of the game to look at that scoreboard.
No.
You don't know where you are day to day and even hour to hour.
Yeah.
Like, get your numbers right. You got to know your numbers. It surprises me these days to meet people that still have no idea how the month's gone until the end of the month.
End of the month.
Crazy in today's world.
I was talking to an advisor about this the other day, and she obviously in that advisory space now. And, the accountants back in the day were all doing, from behind, and today we were talking how you can get in front of that. And she was just saying how the company has got in front of a lot of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's really important. It's one of the things that got me, I guess, sleeping better at night was knowing where I'm going to be in 6 months and just really mapping everything out.
Yeah, having clarity around that can give you some strength to move forward, knowing what to do, knowing if you're a bit behind, what you need to do too, right?
You got to know early, right?
I learned this from a lady, I must have been 5 years ago, so I've tracked money into my business.
Yeah.
On a sheet that she gave me on a daily basis, and you don't have to do it daily, but I do it 3 times a month. How much money's coming into the business?
Right.
The coolest thing about that is you can see it exponentially go up since you started tracking it.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate.
And I've gone through it probably even longer than 5 years because it went obviously through the COVID period and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see. So I can go back and pull up April 2017 to see where I was versus April 2024.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I've always been a day by day, like every day measuring the numbers and what happened yesterday. What does that mean for us in 6 months' time? And I've been very fortunate to have one of my team members, Ange, who's helped us for years now, and she introduced me to this fantastic way of doing it on her spreadsheet, a little bit of magic she's got. And it really is. It's great, It's really good. I'll just keep going if you want.
Keep going.
I think the next one related to what you said before is not being afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
Like, too many people, I think, go, yep, I understand. Yeah, they don't.
They don't understand.
Because they're scared to look stupid. Generally, all of us as humans, we don't want to look stupid at anything, so we'll very quickly go, no, we got it. But actually, we don't. And this is one that Nick, my business partner, really brought me on to quite early.
That's cool.
We started working together as just keep asking. It might sound silly. You might feel like you make yourself look stupid, but actually you'll walk away with a lot more knowledge.
It's so good. That's one of the things that I like to do if I'm in a meeting with a team and I'm with a client and I don't know, I'll ask because I know my team will probably, and then they'll come out of that meeting and go, oh, so glad you asked. I was like, but I'm trying to teach them it's okay. You can't know everything.
Yeah, well, you can imagine being a 50-something-year-old like myself and a sea full of younger software developers. Often I'm left having to ask what something,
But it's good for them if you ask too because it shows that you're actually interested as well.
Dead right, absolutely. Next one is have those difficult conversations early. Don't be scared of them. And they don't have to be about shouting, but honestly, if there's one thing, go and nip it in the bud now. And I mean, it's a common one, right?
That's cool though.
Yeah.
But it's easy not to do.
Yeah, it's easy to defer it. No one likes conflict.
No.
But it doesn't have to be about conflict. But I think that open and honest sort of, let's just get it out on the table and know where the line is. There's a line that's been crossed here. Clearly we didn't understand where that line was. And just knowing where that line is, it's a big part of it.
And I think that makes for good business because no one wants to be in a business where there's a bit of that tension going on. Look, it's okay to have tension, but it's got to be good tension.
Yeah, it's got to be positive tension.
Positive tension.
Right. If there's a bad apple, if there's something happening that everyone, they're not washing the bloody coffee cups or whatever it is. I've said to my team, the day we have to put up a sign saying, please clean your coffee cup, I might as well give up. We should be better than that.
My team's watching this.
How about this one? There are no exceptional people.
Yeah.
I've always subscribed to that. But there are ordinary people doing exceptional things.
Yeah.
And running a software business over the years for a long time now, I've had a lot of young fellas come in and be called or referred to as geniuses. Yeah. I think it's a dangerous word because it really gives them an over inflated sense of their abilities. And we often flippantly use that word because they understand something that we don't.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that everybody's got their individual area of genius. It's up to me to find that fully or help them find that. Yeah. And some people, unfortunately, never find the area of genius. I think sadly, Scott. But we're all, we're all lined up pretty much the same as far as there's no exceptional people. I don't believe for a minute. I mean, you've got the physical attributes. You might be able to blame the All Blacks, but I think as a rule, that's what I've always gone with. And I think it's a good way to look at the world.
And as a leader, it's your job to nurture that, right?
Yeah.
So what are ways I could nurture, what people are good at? And sometimes it's putting the spotlight on, hey, this is what you're good at.
Yeah.
And you know what? I believe in you.
Yeah, dead right.
And I'm going to give you some opportunities here. And together, we're going to see where we can take this. Because maybe a lot of times people don't see their potential.
Yeah.
And it's your job as the leader to nurture that potential, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, for sure. Finally, just I mentioned it previously, is knowing where the line is.
Yeah.
And that's a real important one. And what that means is being real clear with your communication. To give you an example is we have got a bit of space where we're at work and we rent an area for the pool table.
Yep.
And there's a line that we don't rent.
Yeah.
And it's only demarked by a couple of carpet tiles that sort of run a line down there. When we all went through there for the first day, I pointed out to the team, nothing exists on that part of over that side of the line.
Yeah.
Like, we don't rent it, so it's doing the honour of not putting stuff there.
Yeah, true.
Nothing's ever gone over that line because it's quite clear physically where the line is. But other ways that can be explained as I thought the line was 20th of the month following.
Yeah.
Clearly, you guys thought it was the 30th of the month following. It's just, I thought that behaviour wasn't acceptable. Clearly, you did think it was acceptable. We obviously, between us, most misunderstandings, I guess, between individuals are really about understanding where that line is. Just being clear. Hey, the line's there. Can you see it? Yep.
Nice.
Cool. Let's move on.
That's so good, eh? I like clarity in the communication is key. And look, I think as you get older in business, you kind of value that, right? You really do value clear communication.
Yeah.
And to some degree, you get back what you put out. So if you're clear in your communication, you might have to teach people a couple of times, but you get clearer communication back.
Yeah, people will say, they'll know they've crossed the line and come to you and say, hey, listen, that's just because of this or whatever the case may be. At least they'll know you know.
How good.
And it's great. I think it's a nice, simple way to explain that. Yeah.
Mate, this has been fantastic. Now, one more thing. You've got a podcast coming out. I want you to talk about your podcast. What's your podcast called?
Yeah, so our podcast is called The Chain Gang.
The Chain Gang.
And we're about innovation in the logistics supply chain throughout New Zealand and Australia. Coming out soon on all the platforms.
Brilliant. So Consignly is sponsoring that? Or
Consignly's head sponsor.
Yep.
So
nice.
so we've uncovered as we've launched Consignly the last couple of years and starting to get into Australia now actually. And the whole of characters and just some of the stories is fantastic and so important. Logistics and supply chain is New Zealand and Australia, the bottom part of the world. So looking forward to
That'd
it.
be a great way to educate your market, to tell some stories, and to build your brand into that market too. So all the best for that.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey guys and girls, thank you for listening to this episode. Hey, by the way, Chris talked about some really important stuff here around helping your people. So maybe rewind this one and go and revisit. And if you probably should share this with your team. Get them to listen and talk to ways around you can have better communication, because I think it's such an important thing inside a business to have real clear communication. So, Chris, thanks for coming on the 100th episode. It's been great having you here, man.
Good on you.
And all the best with your podcast. I look forward to being a fan.
Thanks
all right,
a lot.
guys. Thanks for your time. And as always, share this podcast. Greg, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Great to be here.
Mate, it's awesome to have you back. Look, one question. This is our 100th episode.
Yeah.
And I'm asking everyone who's coming on, what is your best business advice?
Yep. Yeah, cool. We're getting quite a lot of that at the moment because it's a bit of a battle for some out there.
Totally.
And I think what we're finding, the first thing would be, often with the marketing, we're looking for the new and the shiny all the time.
Yeah.
Key thing at the moment is to use what you got.
Yeah, totally.
Really dig into the treasure you have in the business, and that's things like, leads that you've generated that haven't been a fit at the time. Let's go back to those. Let's try and nurture them.
Yeah.
Deals that you've lost. We see a lot of value in re-engaging with deals like 3 months later, 6 months later. Going back to them.
Because people are at certain times, and maybe it was a no then, but not now. It was a no then, but maybe open to it now.
Yeah. And you can get really good conversions on those lost deals because they already know you've been down a buying process. And as you say, that if the reasons are quite logical, you can re-engage. So there's a lot of value there. And a third sort of area would be former customers.
Nice.
So you've done a project or you've worked for them a couple of years, they churn for whatever reason, but again, you can go back. So it's you need all your programs, you need to be generating leads, you need to be doing all that.
Yeah.
But especially in these times, dig into that. It's often an ignored part of
part of growing a business. So I think it's a great bit of value.
I think it's a great one too, because you do have a relationship with those people. They are warmed up to your kind of what you do.
Yeah.
You know, you're not having to go and completely re-educate them, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think businesses don't go to that though? Because you just said most people don't. Why do you think it is?
Well, I think, because business is all about moving forward and growing. And being confident. And so the natural thing is, let's go out and get some new business.
Yeah.
And that's exciting stuff as well. Sometimes looking back into what you've done, it can, doesn't seem as exciting, but there's a lot of value there.
One thing I also find, people bring their own bias to why they shouldn't contact those people.
Yeah.
So we let a bias go, oh no, well they won't want to hear from us. They said no to us once before, so we'll not worry about that. But actually, that person could just be waiting for you to call.
And I think we measure these programs for people, and the level of conversion you get is really good, much higher than new business conversion.
Because they already know you, like you, and probably trust you.
Yeah.
And the timing maybe just wasn't right at that time, for whatever reason. Cool.
Yeah.
What else?
That's fun. Second thing would be, and we're in the technology game, so you sort of have to say this, but this AI stuff is relevant, and I think it's overblown, like all of these
Very
things
much
are.
so. Yep.
Big hype at the moment. But there is some underlying, value in some of the tools. And I think, any business should be looking at ways to... I think the main gain at the moment is just productivity.
Big time.
Where can you apply some simple tools without spending a lot of money to just cut out some of the boring admin stuff you do? So we're seeing that, in our clients and in our business. Just things some real simple one is we've got some great cool recording software that record all our calls, gives us the AI summary at the end.
What do you use for that?
A thing called Crisp.
Nice, Crisp.
But there's KRISP.
KRISP.
Yeah,
nice.
We cost effective.
We use Limitless. There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that you're using them. That's the key, right?
Yeah, and it's just saves so much time.
Yeah.
Because it gives you that summary. You can share it with the prospect of the customer.
Yeah.
You can drive activity off it.
I say to people, and we've done a few presentations on this now, and I started a challenge probably a year and a half ago with my team. Find an hour back in your week using AI. And we do a 90-day presentation, and it's really cool to see what people come up with when you challenge them to, hey, go and save an hour.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people are saving 2-3 hours, just because if you look at your normal day and what you do, and then you go, okay, and you allow people to go and find the technology to improve that, it's pretty cool what smart people will go and find. And I think I went to the bookstore and I got 2 books and both were on ChatGPT. And I went to the counter and the lady goes, oh, you're into that, are you? and it made me feel like, oh. And I was like, well, what am I into? And she goes, oh, that AI stuff. And she goes, it's really bad, isn't it? And I said, oh. So I just started asking her questions where she was getting her thinking from. And it was really interesting, obviously, watching the news.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, actually, they're using it for doctors to look at x-rays and helping people with diseases and stuff. She's like, really? She didn't know any of that, So, and I challenge business owners, go and just try and find it out.
Yeah. And I think what you said there was really important in that you've challenged your guys to solve a problem, a business problem. You haven't said, go and look at AI tools just for the sake of looking at them. It's actually find some productivity gain.
Well, one of the coolest things is, Sarah, we've got a lot of photo shoots. We're on today, we're doing filming photo shoots, and we'll probably take 300 photos today.
Right.
Well, if we have to come back and sort those photos one by one, well, how long is that going to take?
Yeah.
Generally, it was taking 3 hours. Now we have a piece of software, and it does it for us.
Yeah.
And it grades it based on what the client likes and what we know the client likes. So saving so much time, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know that about that software before because we never were open to looking for it.
Yeah.
And that's the key.
Yeah. So I think that's, I'd say for everybody, don't get carried away by the hype, but look for the practical applications of these things. Yeah,
be involved in looking at it, but too right, don't get over, because some of these technologies are just the old technology with a new domain.
Yeah. Well, we're in the technology game, and we work with a lot of software companies, and it's almost like you just tack on that AI. It's just doing stuff it's always been doing. You have to have that.
But now it's .ai. Yeah, so good. Okay, so we've got 2. What did you have a third one?
And the last one, it's a bit just basic business stuff, but we see is some customers and some markets are really, hitting some headwinds. And the temptation is to cut, particularly around your people.
Yes.
But, our experience, over 20 years of business would be try to resist that at all costs.
Yeah.
Because if you lose people, particularly good people, that's just so hard to come back from that.
Yeah, totally.
So if there's a cost, it can be tough to hang in there, but, try to find other savings or try to focus on growth as much as you can. I think cutting people, particularly good people, is just it's a big move.
Yeah, you got to think further down the track than what you're doing now, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a now, and I think sometimes to that, I remember in the GFC. And then the earthquakes, you actually have to slow it down a little bit from a strategic perspective.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of noise coming at you, and there's a lot of this and a lot of that, and because everyone, even the people that you employ, they all have stuff going on, right? They all have there's more pressures on them, etc. So if you allow those pressures to come on you, then all of a sudden there's a temptation for you to speed up as well. And from a strategic point, you actually have to slow down right now.
Yes.
Be very deliberate in what you do. What are some of the things that you do to stop that from happening in your business? Like, are you talking to your staff all the time, and the people that you employ?
In terms of
how they're feeling, what's going on for them, and hey, because some people, and this is what I found also during the earthquakes, is if you don't talk to people, they kind of start having their own conversations.
Absolutely. I think the transparency is really important.
Yeah.
I mean, we've always done that as a business, I suppose, just shared quite a lot with the team, just so they're really clear on where things are, upside and downside.
We're not going under here, too.
Yeah.
We're probably not having, champagne for lunch this week, but we're still having our lunch. It's just being, and I think that's good business, right? To have those open communications.
Absolutely. Well, because they all contribute to it. In whatever way. They've got some line of sight to a customer.
Well,
so they need to understand that.
I think they'll dig in too.
Yeah.
They don't want you to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
And I think it's really important, because if you don't have those conversations, I think the flip side of that is you see it play out in the news, right? Like you hear businesses going under, all this type of stuff, but you don't want that for your people. But they will be thinking at some stage.
Yeah, they'll be
nervous.
And I think if you're not transparent and communicate well now, as soon as things get better and the job market opens up, they're gone. Yeah,
totally.
Because you're not,
Well, what we talked about before, you market for the rebound, not the recession. You communicate for the rebound, not what's going on right now. And I think that's a great takeaway. Man, how good. I asked you for one, you give me three.
Oh, there you go.
Always over-delivering. Hey, guys and girls, thank you for listening to this podcast, this episode, especially what Greg's had to say there. Look, as always, this information can actually help another business owner. So your one job with this podcast episode, you've been listening to so many of these guys and girls share their best marketing tips and their best business tips. Greg's just giving you three. Why don't you go and share it? Man, share it on LinkedIn and tag myself and Greg and say, hey, you need to listen to this section, because that'll help another business owner, and that's what we're all about here. So, hey, Greg, appreciate you coming back.
Cheers, good to be on.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, guys, so thanks for your time. Have a great day, and remember, just share this podcast. Right, James, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thanks, Scotty. Pleasure to be here.
I think you actually were the third person to get interviewed. Now we're hitting 100 episodes. So this is the 100th episode. I've been asking business owners to help other business owners out. What's your best business advice?
Well, it's a toughie, but I think I'll relate it back to our company, Novus, and that is to know what you're selling.
Yeah, nice.
And have your people know what you're selling. So that we sell solutions. We get thousands and thousands of reviews every year.
Yeah, totally.
Not one of them says, "I've got a great windscreen. What a lovely windscreen."
Yeah.
They all say, what fantastic people.
Yeah.
The CSRs, the people on the front desk were fantastic.
Nice.
They listened to me.
Yep.
They solved my problem, pick up, drop off, that sort of thing. The technicians explained what they were going to do. But no one says, I got a lovely windscreen.
Yeah, but
that's what we sell, and that's what people think we sell.
Yeah.
Repair and replacement. What we sell is solutions.
Yeah.
Getting your people to know that everyone that rings us or comes in has a problem.
Yeah.
And we have to solve it.
How good.
And it can be different for everybody. In a sense, Can't be too different, but how can we help you
What a great way to set up the mindset of everyone in the team, like, okay, because everyone does come to your place with a problem, don't they, like,
Absolutely.
And they're a little bit annoyed as well because, something's happened, maybe they had a crack in the windscreen or something's broken or whatever. So you if you really think about it, you're on the back foot to start with, right? So having the team having that mindset, really understanding that you're in customer service, you're there to help them solve their problem.
Yeah.
It does set up your team for success in such a way, like, because end of the day, if we want that problem solved, you guys step in and you know exactly what you need to do.
Yeah. So it is. It's about taking that problem away. In all the different personalities that are within your company, you want to empower those people to be able to express their personality and deal with each client as they see fit. But again, it's just about people come back because they dealt with good people.
Yeah.
Look at shopping, look at retail. If people are just selling jeans, you can go and buy them anywhere. If you just compare, then you start comparing them.
Yeah.
Or why not shop online? But I had a great experience with it and buying some shoes, some Skechers. And there's lots of Skechers shops. This was a couple of years ago, but the young person in the shop was so amazing that I only go back there.
And the cool thing these days, you don't have to actually do too much to stand out because most people have lost that art, right? I had the similar experience buying some skis and some boots recently.
Yeah.
And went to Darfield to get them from Gnomes. But the service was, and the interesting thing is we were told to go there because the service would be good.
That's right.
So people tell us to go there, then you go there and then you experience, like they're not in the game of just selling skis and that. Well, that's what they the end product, but end of the day, the service is what keeps them, alive.
And I heard a great one which relates to that just the other day, and it's something about branding. What is your brand? Your brand is what people say about you when you are not there.
Yeah, powerful stuff.
So
right?
you were told Gnomes was fantastic.
Yeah,
by someone that had a great experience, and you went there.
Yeah.
So that's the brand.
And like we went in actually not looking to buy, funnily enough. We went in looking to hire, and then we went over and they showed us some of the technology, and we were like, well, why wouldn't we? We want to get more into skiing, so let's do it. So then we went through this process, and this process was it was 2 hours. But and that's one of the interesting parts too. At no stage did you think you were getting sold to. They were helping you along the way, and I thought that was a really good reminder for people to you take all your agendas off the table and just actually help them get what they want, right? Which is very cool. What are some of the pitfalls or some of the barriers to that when you have that sort of strategy going on in a business? Is there anything, because I know you have to deal with a lot of personalities, but like, what are some of the the downsides to it, or are there none?
I don't really see any. If you listen rather than talk initially, then you understand where that person's at, what their problem is, and you can solve it step by step without them even, as you say, thinking that they're being sold to or anything like that. Yeah. Because we're not selling. When they ring or come to see us, they've already got a problem. You don't pop into a glass shop or for a chat. Yeah, but your game, like your game now, is very technical. Like windscreens have become very technical. So like a cost to your business is obviously training now. Yeah, absolutely. But getting back to your point, we try and educate each customer in a small part every time so that they understand what their cameras are, the recalibration, the ADAS features are, why they can't drive their vehicles straight away because the glues that hold them in have to set to the minimum safety standard. Yeah. And once people understand that, you give them a little bit, they can't really say disregard it and go for the cheapest. No. Where they don't know what's going to happen. No. No one's taking the time because they don't care. Because they are just selling windscreens or parts. Whereas, we like to go above and beyond with that. And that's why people come back. Yeah. And they do come back.
Yeah, and because they know they've had that good experience, and also once again, other people tell other people about it. So you get more people coming in indirectly or directly because of it too, right? It's just it's just part of that whole bigger picture that really does add up, you know. And so then the game, I guess, then for you is hiring the right people with good attitudes, getting people with the right kind of frame in mind to grow that.
Attitude's everything, and that goes down to technicians. We can train a technician. We can train someone with the right attitude to be a great technician. Yeah. You take an experienced technician with a less than desirable attitude. Yeah. It's very difficult to change the attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's
and that rubs off on the customers.
Yeah.
Consumers.
It all flows down as well, right? Like that's just, But I think also it goes the opposite way. If the leadership looks to set the tone at the top, it does filter into, and the standards are set, right? And I think that's something you really need to look at. If you're getting some bad reviews and everything inside your business, it's not just the team at the front that's causing that, right? It sets at the top, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, that goes back to, children watch what you do as a parent. Yeah. Rather than what you say, they watch what you do, and they mimic what you do. Yeah. So it's the same through all walks of life. You know, if management doesn't portray the company in the right light and do walk the talk, then why would everyone else?
Yeah. Yeah, because the standards being, the bar's so low. And I think that's the opportunity for businesses too, like especially in times that are tougher, you can really sharpen up some of those areas. And I think one point that comes to you have to do care. You have to care about the clients and the outcomes. You really have to know who pays your bills at the end of the day too.
Absolutely. Right? You need to be passionate about what you do every day for 8 hours when you go there. Yeah. Yeah. Why would you, if you don't like it, how could you be passionate? Yeah. It's the whole, not sure about the words, but, culture of the company. Yeah. Has to filter down every part of that company. Yeah. And I think that's the exciting part when you get people that are enthused about doing what they're doing, like they don't just see themselves putting in a windscreen, they see themselves helping this person and solving a problem and actually making a difference. Then you're winning the game, right? Well, all goes back to people like doing business with good people. Yeah. And you do better business with people you like. Yep. And that filters down into the company. If everyone's getting on and the culture's good, it just grows naturally. Yeah.
Great. Sound advice. Got any other good advice?
Ooh, what's great advice in sales? No doesn't mean no.
Yeah. Well, especially now, loads of people say no, and loads of people take it as face value. One thing I've learned is to always follow up with value. So don't ring up and say, oh, hey, I'm just following up to see how you are, or, have you made a decision yet? Follow up with actually some more value. Hey, by the way, I just thought I'd send you this because this actually worked for this client, and I was thinking of you the other day and it probably will work for you. Take a look. So you're always following up with a reason, because, it's easy just to take a no and say no and think that's a no, right?
Absolutely. And people take no personally when they shouldn't. We're New Zealanders. No means I wasn't ready for you. Yes. No means I don't understand. Yes. No means a number of things, but don't take it personally. Yeah. No might mean you didn't give me the right information on day one, or I was thinking about something else. So that's the other part. Don't give somebody all the information at once. Yeah. Give yourself a reason to go back a few times, as you were saying.
But I'm guilty of that. I think in some industry like ours, it's quite technical, and sometimes I remember talking to you in the early days, and I think we were trying to be too smart as well. Like you've got all this jargon, but it doesn't actually help. One of the best things I've heard one of the team say coming from a meeting from you, and we were talking about Google business profiles, and we were giving you all this jargon, and you just said, well, it's like being back in the yellow pages. And everyone now uses that because it's so clear that that's actually what it is. It's the new yellow pages. You've got to be in the top 1 to 3. If you're not, well, you're nowhere. And the way you just got that across, and like everyone went, oh yeah, okay, less jargon and get through to what people actually
keep it simple.
Keep it simple. And I think that's a really good place to finish. Keep it simple. So, Mike, really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the 100th episode. Look, once again, Mike's delivered some great advice. What are you going to do with it, though? Because it's great hearing it. How are you going to look at your business? What are you going to look to see where you could be looking at your customer service and I guess empowering your people to give that better service, become more of a problem solver? I always say to people, be curious. Be curious. Where could you be more curious inside your business? Because that can obviously open up opportunity as well. So your job now is to share the podcast. I don't know how many episodes we're up to now in this 100th episode, but you need to share this. Just share it out on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and tag us in. Tag us in what you're going to do, what you're going to implement from listening to Mike. So I really appreciate you being here and look forward to having another episode soon. But until then, have fun, take action. Murray Howell, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Great to be back, Scott.
Mate, third time you've been on this podcast, but this is the most important one because today, this is one of our episodes, it's our 100th episode, right? So I'm asking people who have been on the podcast, what's your best business advice?
I think I've been selling advertising now for 23 years and worked in a few other businesses before that. So my best business advice is find someone that wants to go good, that wants to grow a business.
Nice.
And is keen for you to work with them. I think everyone's got products, everyone's got businesses, but you notice the businesses that go really well. Yeah. They tend to hire. They tend to have passion and they tend to have good people, and they hire people on personality fit as well as business knowledge.
Yeah. I like that.
And I think that's personality fit with your team and your business is really, really important. To me, it's almost as important, or maybe even more important than knowledge.
Yeah.
Because you can teach a lot of people and you can teach them the way you want to teach them if they come in with not too many preconceived ideas.
Yeah. So there's some interesting two takeaways right there is, from your perspective, you work better when you've got someone who wants to go good, right? When they're motivated, they know where they're going, you add your fuel to that fire and you're away. And you've seen that with your clients. You've grown clients exponentially in a lot of different markets because the person at the front wants to go good. So, but that's a tip for a business owner listening to this. Get around and decide that you want to go good, right? Because too many people, I reckon, these days, they don't even that clear on how good they want to go. And also right now they're stuck in the weeds. Oh, the market's tough. The market's this, and looking to blame other people. Hang on, it's your business. The buck stops with you. You decide to go good and find people that want to go good with you.
Yeah, and look, there's a real strong message in there, I think, too, is you've got to know where you want to be at in a time frame. And even in a tough market, there's so many things you can do within your business to make your business healthier, better. So if you make continual improvements now, I believe it'll pay you forward well too.
Yeah.
And, we can all... There's so many businesses find it tough in today's environment at the moment where the economy is, right? But, I've got other people that are having a real go and they're staying positive about it and they're actually doing better than they've ever done.
Yeah.
And I look at those people and I learn things from them and I learn why. And the biggest thing that keeps coming up, they are looking at their business, they're working hard on their business now, which in turn is making things better for them every day. And when the uptake comes, this year's meant to be a bit harder, but, next year's forecasting to be a lot better. And I just think if you get match fit now, right? If you get match fit now, I just think it's just so good for you as a business. Yeah. Look, my favourite clients are business owners.
Yeah,
I love them
totally
because it's their own money they spent, and they like their money and they like to keep it.
Yeah,
and they want to grow it.
Yeah.
And with that comes their passion and their leadership. And it's so bloody exciting working with them. You know, I've changed something this year for a simple piece of business advice is I'm trying to do things. I'm not a great book reader, but I looked at the cover of the book.
Yep.
And it said, do things 1% better.
Nice.
Right? And so whenever I do anything at the moment, I just try and do it 1% better.
Yep.
Because it's something I can understand and I can use all the time.
Would that be like make one more phone call, you know, do one more follow-up or like things like that? What's some examples of that?
It can be a range of anything. Like, you know, I was at the gym this morning between 6 and 7 and I didn't want to be there.
No,
right?
no one wants
It was
to be
raining. It was at 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
So I have to get up at 4:45, which, you know, I think I'm batshit crazy half the time when I'm doing it. But anyway, I didn't want to be there and I thought, I can't be bothered. I don't want to keep doing this. But I got there and all I thought about was every exercise was doing it 1% better. And then I forgot all about the fact I didn't want to be there and I just got better at it, right?
The interesting thing is high performers have the same struggles, right? Like you get a better high leaving the gym than you do, but you do the for what you get out of coming out of the gym versus going to the gym. High performers do the same. You think Taylor Swift wants to turn up and sing that same song?
I don't know how they do it.
I guarantee she doesn't. But a high performer knows why they're doing it, knows the outcome, and will persist anyway. And I think that's one of the keys to this kind of market. It's so easy when the market's good. And no one looks internal until, you know, no one's looking internally when the market's good. And then all of a sudden people start looking external when the marketing's bad. Well, the market's bad, right?
Yeah, and that's quite good. I think what happens is when you find things a bit harder or you feel like you're continually dealing with challenges and problems is we get too inward looking, right? And, you know, I'm only a very small percentage of the advertising market, right? The overall advertising market, right? So wouldn't it be better for me to look out there how I get more of it and take more share of someone else's? Yeah. And there'd be lots of categories like this. Yeah. We're all only small parts of a big puzzle.
Big puzzle,
right?
Totally.
Right, and a big opportunity. So if we start looking outwards more than inwards to the market and creating opportunities and keep working on our attitudes and keep working on improving 1%, I believe it will pay big dividends. Yeah. And I'll give you an example of that. I had my personal best after 23 years in June.
Yep. Wow, nice.
April. No, sorry, May. Yep. Sorry, May. And guess what happened in June?
You bet it.
Yeah. So.
And you're selling advertising when people are saying, oh, no one's buying.
No, well, everyone that I deal with is a business owner that is passionate. They're having a go.
Totally.
Right?
How good.
And they said, now's our time to fight. Yeah. Now's our time to get stuck in. Now's our time to be top of mind that we're a good business. Yeah. And we're a good choice to come to. Right? And that's very interesting.
It's kind of counterintuitive to what everyone else is saying.
Yeah, well, it is, but they're all doing it because otherwise I wouldn't have had the best months I'd had, right?
Totally,
right? And,
totally. It's good.
And, you know, but they haven't got the turnover they had. So don't be wrong, they're all down a little bit, right? So same as everyone else, they're all down a bit, but they're not prepared to not fight. No. And I think the worst thing you could possibly do is turn off your advertising at the moment. I just we've got to fight harder, right? And another piece of advice: if you're buying some advertising off someone, you need to feel like they're a partner, right? Yeah. They're interested in your business. Yeah. There's plenty of people selling advertising.
Yeah, totally.
But they're there for their sale only. Yeah. And I think there's too many people like that. Yeah. Right? You want people that are there when it gets rough for you, help you, support you, and that's a true partner in business. So if you can find those sorts of people, I do some business with you, and well, actually my clients do, and I know they're in a safe place.
Yeah.
And I trust this business to do the right thing by them. So I'm doing the same already in my circle of clients. And I've probably got 25, 30 annual clients who spend with me every year. And they've all been there 10 years plus.
Yeah.
Right? I've got a couple come on just recently, which are new, but they've been there 10 years plus. So I've got half of them have been there 20 years plus.
Yeah, nice.
Right, and
so they've been through these cycles. They know the outcome, and this is one of the things I love talking to you, Murray, about, and I love talking to some of the clients that we had mutual. They've been through this. They know what's on the other side, and I just wish, and I really hope that people that are listening to this see that this is the bigger picture by listening to this series too. This business advice, you're hearing some common themes here. There is another side to this. And when it pops out, you don't market for the recession. You don't advertise it for the recession. You advertise, you market for the rebound. And it's anyone under 5 years in business, you don't see this right now, but I can trust us. It does rebound.
Yeah, I just had this conversation with a client yesterday. GFC, COVID, earthquakes, right? And we just looked at each other and smiled and said, "This is nothing compared to those."
No,
right?
There's nothing.
This is only a blip, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick example about advertising, because we've got to get to the end of this short segment. Is in COVID, I helped clients, and MediaWorks actually supported them with additional advertising to just keep their brand out there.
Nice.
And when COVID finished, sure, a lot of businesses took off, but we charted the growth of those clients, and even the client said the growth was phenomenal, right?
Yeah, good.
So what that did was we stayed top of mind.
Yeah.
And we stayed relevant to the audience. There's a well-trodden track. They call it a well-trodden track.
Yeah.
If you get people, they know your business, they can find you in the online space, they see your business, you become trusted, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to be trusted is everything, because we always want to buy products off people we trust, don't we?
Know, like, and trust.
That's right.
Yeah, you got to know you first.
That's right. So I guess my best advice is going to come down to this. Start looking outward, start looking at how to get more market share, advertise more, and get to the front of the queue.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of businesses doing really, really well out there at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's quite aspirational to talk to them, and it's an exciting time as well as a tough time.
Oh yeah, and look, it's a market that rewards people that are bold. At the end of the day, how do you get to the front of the queue? Well, you stay in the queue for a start. Right. Consistency and message frequency reach to become relevant. You can't become relevant if you're not having a consistent message and you're not frequent with that message. So you miss the opportunity on the upside. So Murray, this has been a great refresher, great reminder, but also 23 years of being top at the game and being willing to share this information. I really appreciate you being here, Murray. So here's the thing, guys, girls, listening to the podcast, another good short episode. I need you to share this one, though. Someone out there needs to hear what Murray's just said. This might light a fuse for another business owner. So please share this podcast. It's our 100th episode. We want to make it our biggest. So the more you can share it, the better. Once again, thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you really, really soon. Miranda, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh, look, I'm excited to have you back. Obviously, you've been on the podcast before, but this episode's different. This is our 100th episode. I've been going through and interviewing people on one question, and that is, what is your best business advice?
Fantastic. Firstly, congratulations on your 100th episode. That is huge in the graveyard of podcasts that live out there in the ether. So it means 100 times you've been putting good stuff out there. So well done to you, Scott. Look, I like to work in threes, Scott. So having been a business owner for a lot of years before I've transitioned into my current role, we've been through quite a few cycles of different economies. So the three things that really jump out for me in terms of best business advice Number one would be relationships. If you are seeing an economic downturn, if you are seeing a slowing in your pipeline, really lean into those relationships, whether it is leaning into your network that you have, finding a network. The best time to start networking is 10 years ago. The second best time is right now, but find a network, find those other business owners and key decision makers that are going to be able to walk this path with you in time. Book time with them as well. Really get to understand who they are, what they're going through, because you never know what you might learn and what you might be able to take away from that to help your own business. So really going deep into kind of giver's gain, give before you expect to receive.
Yeah.
So that's number one, relationships.
Well, I think that's real key right now, right? Like, because and the time right now is to go deep in connection, not width of connection. Like, really get to know people, find out what makes them tick, how you can help them, be of service. And I think that's a lot of things. A lot of people, and I've been through these times as well. Things speed up for a lot of people, and sometimes you have to slow it down and be a bit more deliberate in the strategic things that you do. And networking could be one of those things that you could join. And just add value and be opening to learning as well. So that's great advice. I like it.
Yeah. I think the other part of relationships, Scott, for me is, when we do get busy, we kind of forget our customer a little bit, and we assume that they'll just stay on that journey with us. We forget about our staff a little bit and assume that, times are good, it'll all be great, they'll be fine. But actually taking a moment and going, are my relationships with my customers right? Are they how I would want them? And really going deep, because they're the people that will take you through this time, literally. They already trust you. So, they might buy again. They might buy more. They might become a loyal customer, raving fan forever if you spend that time with them now.
So good. So good. Right. Number two,
weaknesses. What weaknesses do you have right now? Is it you don't understand your numbers? Is your production line bleeding? Is your structure, governance, management, team operations not working cohesively? Do you not know what you don't know? What is your weakness? And fix it. Give it attention. Lean into the discomfort that can come with seeing that thing that we know that we should have sorted out maybe years, months ago, whatever, and going, actually it's okay, because I'm going to attend to it now, and I'm going to go through that discomfort to learn how to fix my weakness. For me in 2017, it was our numbers. We got told every year by our accountant, yay, you've had a great year, you've made money, that's awesome. I'm like, where is this stuff in my bank account? Because this is I'm a cash person, right? I'm not this spreadsheet zero-based person. So we leaned into our weakness. We got some financial training. We looked at all our pricing structures. We looked at how we capture cost. Looked at everything. That was really uncomfortable for people who had been in business for 5 years prior to that. So lean into your weakness, and you'll come out a whole lot better for it.
Yeah, and I think I was actually just talking to someone about this. Do the tough things, okay? Don't do the easy things right now. Like, sometimes you just have to do those tough things. One thing I always say too is employ your weakness. Like, if it is your weakness, like I remember back in years and years and years ago using Banklink, and I kind of did it, but I hated it. And then someone just said to me, Scott, that's not worth your time. Employ your weakness. And I was like, thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, it is. Got someone else to do it. Never look back, and I think that's sometimes, especially as you grow your business, you kind of, you're trying to save, but actually you need to spend some time, you need to think about, well, what are my dollar producing activities that I could be doing, but I'm doing this other stuff, and it's someone else's genius. And I think that's a great takeaway too, is just, someone else loves doing what you hate. So
absolutely. My mum says that the world needs truck drivers, Miranda. We can't all be the same thing, and I think that's so true. We need the people who love what they do and are great at what they do. So tap into them, because they might be a small business you can lean on as well. Support them, and they're supporting you to get through this time. Brilliant. Whatever this time is.
Right. Number three
is refine. When times are good, when businesses grow, we kind of go, okay, so here's our core business. It's let's use a good old fast food analogy. We sell burgers. We sell burgers. Great. Okay. Oh, look, times are great and people are buying more burgers. We should now have fries, and let's have 4 types of fries, and let's sell 7 types of drink, and let's sell 14 desserts. Oh, look, who are we now? Go back to what you know and what you do best. And be the expert in that, because when you're the expert in the room, when you're the expert in that conversation, at that thing, at that burger selling, they're going to go to no other burger place. If you're trying to be a dessert person and a drinks person and a sides person, well, they might then start looking for drinks and desserts and sides people instead of looking at you as the expert for the burgers. So refine your business. Look at your systems and processes. Look at what you sell. Look at what you make your most money from. Look at what you're most passionate about. Because sometimes if you're more passionate about it, you're more likely to do it better, do it more than something you're like, oh, I really don't like making those fries, but I know they make me a lot of money. That's going to wear thin in a very short amount of time. So maybe stick with the burgers, go back to the burgers. Maybe you can bring the fries back later, but maybe there's actually another company or service out there that actually does that part so much better than you that you can partner with as well.
I think that's, like a lot of times, I guess as you grow a business, you kind of understand that, hey, you can't be doing everything, right? Like, so for us, a digital agency, a lot of people expect us to do websites. We don't, we have a partner. We have partners that do that sort of stuff, and it's kind of relieving to, we know what we're good at, and we're that refining thing is a great place to look and think, okay, what are we good at and what are we not good at? And really dig into that, because it's a temptation is to do everything, right? And I think that's I know from experience that can get you into trouble.
It can get you into trouble. It can have some good times to it, and then it can have the adverse as well, where you're like, hang on, who actually am I and what actually do I do? I think the final piece with this, Scott, is that ties them all together, is New Zealand is a great promoter of the technician. We have these amazing people at widget making who become accidental business owners, who somehow fall into this, oh, well, I wanted the truck and the boat and the batch, so I became a business owner. And sometimes those technicians aren't the best people to see what they need to do most in their business. Find that trusted advisor to help you with these things. Because and whether that trusted advisor is a mentor, whether it is your mate who owns a business, whether it is your neighbor, whether you hire a coach, like whatever that is, sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees in what you're looking at. So having that trusted advisor to support you through these things
I think one of the things I'd capture from an overall theme for this is being open to having some discussions and feedback right now. That would be, and I think that's one of the reasons why people should go and join a network, right? What do you recommend as far as joining networks? I know you're obviously heavily involved in BNI, and what are some of the reasons people should be going and looking obviously at BNI and stuff like that right now?
Yeah. Look, I'm lucky enough to be the president of BNI New Zealand. So, look, leaning into a network, finding a network, I could tell you a million stories, Scott. If it's the person that was a part-time photographer and now no longer works their part-time job because they're a full-time photographer, and they're running chapters, whether it's the guy who reluctantly joined a chapter right at the beginning of a launch and then told me 6 months later, you could never have told me all the reasons why I should join and why I will stay. And it's because I was lonely in my business. I didn't know how lonely I was until I had all these other business owners around me. Whether it is, the person who consults for BNI, earning their biggest dollar value contract from just going out there and supporting other businesses to help maximize BNI. So look, I would say, obviously, massive advocate for BNI, but network. The long and the short of it is you will get to BNI if BNI is the right thing for you. We're always got chapters opening across the country and looking for more amazing people. But the real key here is to network, because you'll find people outside of yourself that can support you if that's what you need. And grow your business and get you to where you want to go, help you share in that success.
And sometimes, like I always say to people, you don't have a money problem, you have a people problem, right? You need to know, more people need to know you. That's why we do marketing. So more people know us, and networking is a great way for people to know you. So whether you go to BNI or any of the others, like you've got to put yourself out there. You've actually got to take the first step and actually, go and to discover what and add value along the way too, right? I think that's probably
definitely.
The key.
Yeah. Look, at BNI, we're all about adding value, and this is one of our core values is give as gain. So give before you expect to receive, because we know that it will come back to you, 3, 4, 5-fold. And you have your extended sales team sitting around a room every week listening to your message to help support you and your business growth. And whatever that growth looks like for you, I'm hearing a few people, look, we're so busy, we don't want any more work, but they're not leaving the network because they know the value of it, that they get so much more from it. So,
Love it. All right. Hey, thank
you
you for coming on the podcast. I've just got to say to people, hey, if you're out there and you're looking to grow your business and you like what Miranda said, hey, go and check out BNI. There'll be a spot there somewhere there for you in this country. Go and enjoy it. And look, if you're listening, what you need to do is share the podcast. You just need to share this. You're listening to these experts in business and marketing and growing businesses. Share their best business tips. There's a reason these tips are the best is because they work. So share the podcast with another business owner, and it's really, really help people. So go out there and do that. So Miranda, thanks for your time and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Scott. Much appreciated.
Hi, Scott. Welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Yep, pleasure being here.
Mate, this is awesome. Hey, so this is episode 100. One question. What is your best business advice?
Well, first, congratulations on getting to 100
Thank
podcasts.
you. Thank you.
It's actually pretty close to what I'm going to talk about, which is basically it's around intensity of your sales and marketing activities.
Nice.
So
I like that. Nice. I do like that. Cool. Tell me more.
Well, if I explain the marketing bit first, normally I can predict, a company's what their sort of results will be, because if you ask them, have you done A, have you done B, have you done C? No, they haven't done anything. Yeah. So if you haven't sort of done anything, the result's pretty predictable. Yeah. But it's about intensity. So it's like the foot on the old accelerator. Yeah. It's funny with sales. You've got to go flat out and as hard as you can and get as many deals as possible. And as soon as you take your foot off, there's no 80%. It goes to zero. It's quite hard.
It's interesting. I talked to a guy who's heavily involved in content marketing probably about a year ago. Took the foot off the gas from a marketing perspective for 6 months. And then for the next 6 to 9 months, his leads, his business just dried right up. Yeah. And then when he thought about it later on, he goes, what was I doing differently? And he goes, I was marketing. I was consistently marketing. Yeah. And a lot of people don't see it. You don't see it until it dries up. You don't think your marketing's working, but it is actually working. Yeah. And sales, same.
Well, on the sales side, like what's a little inflection in our growth was when instead of the two founders selling, we hired a specialist BDR, a young hunter. Yep. And it's just transformed things because we used to sell in our spare time. Yeah. And now we're going flat out. Yeah. So it's that same thing.
So having someone focused in on that, because that's an interesting point. Like you're focused in on your spare time because as the owners, the founders, you've got like 3 or 4 other hats, right? Yeah. And sales is one of them, but it's not your full attention. So putting the torch on that one. What do you reckon to the key to that hire was? Like is just finding the good hunter, finding the right.
Well, the main attribute for the hunter or sort of type person is his ability to learn. Yep. So what happens is it's that really keen, hungry sort of attitude, but the ability to learn. So you just keep throwing them in, and then they have it in exchange, learn about the product, learn about people, and next minute they're sort of off.
So learning your product, what and how. I get the cool thing there though is, and I've seen this with people is if you get them involved in some of those conversations early, so they start learning, start going to meetings, they start to hear your language, they start to hear some of the things that are going on, they start to hear some of the impacts that your work's doing as well. I think that's a big one too for salespeople. They've got to hear early on some of the impact that you're making with people. Yeah. So with your intensity of your marketing, what would be your advice to businesses when it comes to that? Because, okay, it's August the 1st, people will be listening to this. It's still pretty tough out there in the marketplace if you listen to some people, right?
Yeah. Well, intensity sort of comes in two forms. One is about focusing up. So, having a really clear understanding of who your customer is and what your story is. So we're not just marketing to everybody. So it's intensity from the customer's point of view. So you're going to be hitting the right people. And then it's about frequency. It's about, 100th podcast. Yeah. It's just keeping on it. Yeah. And, it all sort of tends to come right in the end.
Yeah. 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 That knowing who your customer is real important, eh? Who you help and how you help them and why they should buy from you, and not your competitor or do nothing. Being really, really clear on that, and that frequency of reach. It's something that I reckon if you could just have the confidence to market your business for a year without any expectations of, I think we might have talked about this in our podcast when we had you on, without, like if you really, really need business tomorrow, then there's, you probably need to pick up the phone, or you probably need to go and, talk to 10 customers or talk to 10 people, but if you want to get business long term and have that steadiness, then you need to be able to go, hey, I'm going to spend this money for a year and I'm going to commit to it, because it's the committing to it that really gets you the result at the end of the day too, because you have to have that frequency with people.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like people say, we'll suggest, I don't know, LinkedIn as a channel, and they'll go, well, no, we tried that in 2022, because we did 2 posts and we didn't get any business out of it. And then, what about Facebook? Well, no, we tried that, we did a post and nothing happened. You've done 100 podcasts. Yeah. Now you can sit back and say, is it working?
Totally.
You're that's what I mean by intensity. It's quite hard.
One of the coolest things I heard, I was in Miami last year, and a guy called Matt Platt, I was actually on stage with him talking about podcasting to, 150 agencies from around the world, and he said, you know what, start putting your phone number on your podcast. And start talking. Just start talking about it. Say, read out your phone number, and tell people to text you or call you. And I'm one of these guys, when I hear it, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to go, oh, that will never work, or I'll just let the market try it. Let the market. Well, the amount of texts and phone calls I get, because I've told people, hey, text me, call me if you want to have some help. I'm here to have a chat, and like now we're doing some deals because of that. And I think that's the coolest. So hey, if you want to get in touch with me, 0218911934. But I think that's part of it, right? Like you actually have to be prepared to try stuff, and be prepared to. I think. There's a guy in America, he says you have to suck at some stuff too, right? Yeah. You have to be prepared to suck at some stuff, because 2 posts on LinkedIn, I don't know about you, I've heard that as well. And I know I've been on LinkedIn for nearly 15 years now, and we put out content every week on LinkedIn, and we get business because of that. Facebook's the same, Instagram, they all work, but they don't work if you just do one post.
I think I suppose I've ended up with this concept of intensity because we typically work in the tech industry. So quite often, particularly young companies, they're in that mindset that because they've got the smartest techie product, they don't really need to do much on the marketing and selling, because the product will sell itself and there'll be a queue. So it's sort of, because we've grown up with that experience, that's why we're sort of reacting to this intensity thing. They're just not going hard enough. They think that it's all going to happen.
So how do you deal with that then? Like, how do you coach someone around that, or do you just leave it and go, okay? Like, you would be probably a little bit like me, and I know Greg will be like this. You've been in the agency world a while now. You can probably see, because I know if you're going to be successful when it comes to marketing. I can have a conversation with you, and just from a few words, I know you'll quit in month 4. Yeah. And I hope you don't, but I think I can tell that you probably will. And can you kind of see that now?
Yeah, well, it's one of the greatest attributes that, as an agency, the people that we like working with are people that like working with us. Yeah. Not, we talked about it before, sort of handing us the responsibility. Yes. So they're the people we work with, because basically I know LinkedIn works for my business, but I've got no idea about your business, because I'm not I'm not your customer.
Yeah.
And so we're going to work on a whole lot of stuff together. We're going to measure the heck out of it, and then we're going to go really hard on things that work and stop things that don't. So if we're both sort of jumping in or jumping off the cliff doing that together, then that works.
Yeah.
It's not like we're the experts for your business.
No.
So we're the people that know about marketing and measuring it. And stuff.
Yeah. So good. Great advice. Hey, where do people get hold of you?
So
say your phone number.
021 221 2254, but owen@concentrate.co.nz.
Brilliant. Hey, I really appreciate you coming on the 100th episode. It's going to be great. So if you've listened to this, some key takeaways, like run your marketing and run it with intensity. Look at your sales with real intensity and push it to the limit, because at the end of the day, two people here know what's on the other side of that. And that is, growing a business and growing your sales and being able to, I guess, have some of those goals that you want to achieve because your business is growing. It's not going to come from just putting one or two posts out. You've got to have that intensity. So the thing here, what I need you to do, though, is to share the podcast, because someone needs to listen and someone needs to hear the message that Owen's just shared. So please share this 100th episode. The gift that you could give us is just share the podcast. We really appreciate you being here and listening. Until then, have fun and take action. Paul Wright, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Good to be here.
Mate, this is our 100th episode. I've got one question for you. What is your best business advice?
Best business advice? Well, at my age, you can look back and think, what are the things that you did well that maybe contributed to success? I think number one, which Gilbert Anoka introduced Mike and I to many, many years ago, is you've got to have a plan.
Yeah.
At the time we had lots of goals and dreams and things in our heads. And he said, where's the plan, boys? And so once we committed to paper, a few goals, a few things we wanted to achieve, everything changed. You've got to have a process. You've got to kind of document the things and that will drag you into performing in a business sense, I think.
So was that sitting down and just physically writing out, like you got your goals, but writing out what to do next, or what was in your plan?
It became quite structured. So, clearly there was goals, a few strategies, a few things that we needed to focus on. And they're always around recruiting and growth and whatever, but there are personal things that we put in the plan as well. Then there were quarterly bite-sized targets to achieve.
Nice.
Clear tasks, responsibilities, and your initials behind it. And every 3 months, we get together, review it, and it was always yes or no. And so when the tasks were ticked off, if we were over 70%, our business was humming.
Brilliant.
And if we like 50%, we were struggling. So two things we learned: never put anything in your plan that you're not going to do, and make sure you do 80% of the things that you say you will do. That's
a good takeaways there, because over time you kind of learn that, if I'm going to write it down, hey man, I'm going to be accountable to this, and this is what you and Mike then became. You became accountable to your plan. And then you got to do things. Then 80%, and you get to that 80% of what you said you're going to do. Business is humming. That would have been. Was it quite freeing to be able to do that? Because I find a lot of times when you talk to business owners, especially when it comes to marketing, if it's up in the air, it's nothing's landing.
It's accountability. So if you find, why do gym instructors work? Because you turn up. You've got an appointment, you have a one-on-one, you do it. Accountability's absolute key to staying on track and completing the. If there's another learning, it's being dollar productive in your behaviour and activity. So you can tidy the office, you can lick the stamps, you can post the mail, you can do all that stuff, or figure out what you're really good at, what are your $100,000, $500,000, $1,000 an hour activities, the things that you engage in that actually derive and generate your business, your income, your success, and focus on doing those more. And they always come down to focus on those dollar productive activities in the hour. And it's always, in our case, it's always prospecting. It's always the calls you make.
Yes.
And it's doing the little things consistently. If I say to you, will you make 10 calls tomorrow? Oh, yeah, I can do 10 calls, boss. So you make 10 calls. Will that make you successful? No, it won't. If you do 10 calls every day for 365 days, will you be successful?
Yes, you will.
Of course you will. So it's always doing the little things consistently that drive success. You've got to have your bigger plan. You've got to have your process. You've got to have your structure. You've got to focus on dollar productive activities, but you still got to do a lot.
Yeah. And what was some of that? So when you started implementing that, what was some of the outcomes for the business when you started, getting the plan down?
Well, we were doing everything. So we were making hundreds of decisions a day on everything. So we had to recruit talent to our team that we could delegate effectively to get rid of some of the workload.
Yeah.
And I think if you can get down to making 3 or 4 key decisions a day, not 100, then you're sort of on track.
Yeah.
And so we had to delegate to be able to grow, and growth for us was being just like everybody else, knocking on doors, whether it was recruiting people to our team, whether it was recruiting officers to join our network, or whole states as it was in Australia, or whole countries as it was when we went to the state. But if you're flat out doing everything, there's no time to prospect, there's no time to do the effective.
So really prioritising what we call a level 10 activity that you're really good at, that's your sweet spot, and outsourcing the rest of the kind of the things that make you busy.
Yeah, and none of it comes easy. No. I mean, we thought we couldn't afford it.
Yes. Yeah, that's a big one for a lot of people.
Man, right? How can we afford someone to be able to do this work and be successful, because margins are so thin, you're not making a lot of money. Every time we've invested and paid more money than we wanted to for talent, it's paid us back in spades. And every time we hired someone for not a lot of money, it cost us a fortune.
Yeah.
So all those lessons come at a cost, but pay more than you want to, always hire the talent, delegate off to them. They'll take your business, your success to a new level.
Did you find also that when you got it structured and written down, it gave you a lot more confidence and maybe a little bit more breathing space? Because the things that were going on inside your head were down on paper?
It certainly did. And then it becomes like a formula for the whole organisation. So if everything's in our head, you can't get it across to anybody else effectively. As soon as you put it in your plan, one page, you can share it with others.
Brilliant.
Then they want to follow along. They want their own plan. And when everybody's on the same kind of platform and you've got your own personal business plan related to the business, their objectives, your objectives are congruent, then you get real power.
Yeah.
And then you're away.
So anyone listening to this, what would be the best place for them to start with that, getting their own personal plan down?
In our case, it was find a facilitator. It is quite hard to do it on your own. So find somebody in the marketplace who's a good facilitator, who'll sit you in a room and say, righto, Scotty, what do you want to achieve? What sings, what hums, what clunks in your business? What are you ignoring? What are you avoiding? What excites you about the year ahead? What do you really want to achieve? What should you be doing in your business? You're not. So you get that kind of download, like a navigational check. And then the next thing is to chart, well, where do we want to go? What's the gap analysis?
Nice.
This is where we are now. This is where we want to get to. What are 3 things we can do in the next 3 months that will take us in that direction? It doesn't all happen at once. You just bite-sized pieces. But once you get that clarity, it's easier to take action. You take action, things change. And it doesn't matter whether, you might be suffering anxiety, you might have a bit of depression, you might be really kind of at odds. But if you can get it down on paper and chart a direction and you take action, you start to leave that anxiety behind. It never kind of always goes away, but I find that's how you build a bit of resilience.
I find that such great advice. We've been doing that in our business and working those 90-day periods and getting everything down. And it's been refreshing to see the level of growth we're having because of it. And not just growth in, hey, the business is growing, the people are growing. And I find that even more inspiring. When your people grow and your people are taking ownership of all those areas, the business is in good hands. Okay, I'm going to be greedy because I know you've got lots more than just one piece of business advice. What else would you say to someone?
I think that you've got to understand that business funds your life is not your life. So when you're at work really hard.
Nice.
Engage in those activities. And when you're not at work, engage in the fun activities with your family and friends.
Brilliant.
And if you're on a golf course thinking about work, leave the golf course, go to work. If you're at work thinking about playing golf, leave work and go and play golf.
Nice.
You need to be really in the channel when you're working, but know that work funds your life. Be really effective when you are at work, and then when you're out of work, be there to have fun, to enjoy, to be fit, to engage in all those activities. We talk about 10s, 25s, 50s and 100s. If you want to dial up a magnificent life, think about crazy things you'd like to do in the next 3 to 5 years. Climb Mount Kilimanjaro, go and spend a month in France, whatever it is. That could be 100. You know, buying a brand new Ferrari, that could be 100. You've got to have those things that are so big and so out there to help drag you into a future. A 10 could be having a coffee with a friend, having a massage, going to the gym. A 25 could be a weekend away. A 50 could be like a week in Fiji. Whatever it is, you write a list of 10s, 25s, 50s and 100s for you, and then every day make sure you've got a 10 in your day.
Nice.
You dial up a magnificent life by engaging in things which bring you joy and satisfaction, but when you're at work on that channel, work really hard.
So good. And the thing is, it's being intentional about that, right? Because you're right. You know, if you're on the, and we've all had that moment when we're doing something and we're starting to think, oh, I should be doing this, you know, but actually just take time to enjoy it. One of the greatest times I ever had was going fishing to the Three Kings. The reason I loved it wasn't because of the rough seas, that kind of put me off, but as soon as I got past the tip of New Zealand, my cell phone had no more reception. And you know what? I couldn't contact people even if I wanted to. And I let go of everything at that moment and thought, you know what? I've just got to enjoy this. Because there's no point thinking about business because you couldn't do anything about it.
I think if the other little tips which work for us, Gilbert taught us to practice 20 seconds of courage every day. And that could be, if you're the person, you're sitting in the room, somebody's done something well, but no one will acknowledge it. If you can spring to your feet and be at the front of the room and say, look, I just want to congratulate on what you did. Everybody sits there going, don't want to say anything. Too scared. You need to be the one to get to the feet and speak. And if you can speak publicly, if you can go to the front of the room, share some ideas, share some knowledge, share some skills, help other people be successful, it's amazing how that kind of strength, that kind of influence, that kind of reputation will take you places that you would only dream of.
And it's that 20 seconds of courage. What a great thing to think about, and sometimes, I know my wife, she'll listen to this, but she's going to be doing a talk on Friday, and I know she just has to have that courage. And the crazy part about it is people want to hear her talk. Now having that courage to do that will set you apart, right? And
everybody starting says, I'm terrified, I'm not a public speaker, but if you're at the front of the room, never use those words because you are the public speaker. You're the one who's got the courage to say this. And don't worry about what people think. Just get up, do your best. And it's like every other skill. You practice and practice and practice, and one day you'll be a world-class public speaker.
Nice.
And that will open up a whole new business and successful life for you.
Man, what great advice. Look, I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate you coming along and sharing your best advice. I challenge people here listening to this, go back, listen to Paul's part of this podcast and start getting down your plan. Find someone that can actually help you with that plan and really commit to it. So, really appreciate that. Did you have anything else you wanted to share?
Hey, there's so much, in 10 minutes. I think keep learning. I went to a course yesterday for 4 hours and it was all related to business and strategic planning. People say, well, why are you there? You've done that all your life. Because I want to sharpen up. I want to get better and learn what's happening.
So good.
I'm learning heaps about AI. I'm practicing ChatGPT and using it. I'm not afraid of it. I think it's fascinating, but I've got to learn. You've got to keep learning. You've got to keep putting stuff in to keep the brain going, keep the excitement going. Surround yourself with successful people, with people who are better and stronger and brighter and doing better than you, and you will become better by that association. I think if you're the brightest person in a room full of people, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, totally. And when you're in that room, add value to those people. Ask them questions and add value, and commit to keeping, and do what you say you're going to do is real.
And network. If you go into a room full of people and your mates are in the corner, don't go and see them. Go and see some strangers. Introduce yourself, because all the businesses with those people you don't know, your mates will bring you no business.
Yeah, you don't have a money problem. You have a people problem. So go and say hello to people that you've never met before, and you'll be surprised. The doors that open up and where that can take you. You're one conversation away, really. Yeah. I know how I meet you guys from the gym. Having chats at the gym. Next minute, boom. Yeah. We're having coffee. We're doing things. So you're only that one conversation away. Yeah. Awesome, Paul. Appreciate your time. Welcome. As always, make sure you share this podcast. Obviously, this is our 100th episode. We want to make sure loads and loads of people are listening to these episodes. So go out there, share the podcast, and I'll talk to you really, really soon. Sean Stockman, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thanks, Scotty. Good to be here.
Mate, I'm excited to have you here. This is our 100th episode, so we've got a whole bunch of people, and I'm asking them one question. And I know it's a good question to ask you. What is your best business advice?
You've got to love what you do.
Nice. I like that.
You've got to love what you do. You've got to be passionate about it. You've got to wake up in the morning and actually look forward to going to work.
Yeah.
And I think when you're passionate about what you do and you love doing what you do, you're not actually going to work.
Yeah.
You're going to enjoy what you doing, and people will pick up and know that you are enjoying and loving what you're doing, and they'll love to be part of it.
Yeah.
It's like walking into a shop and the girl's got a face that long. You know what I mean? You're just
or guy.
Yeah, or guy, yep.
But most of them are on their phones.
Yeah, either.
I think that's really important though, especially as an owner of the business. You've got to love it. You've got to want to turn up. I've seen you here on some Saturdays when I've been here, and you don't have to turn up. You want to turn up.
Yep.
And I think that's the difference too, right? Like you actually want to be doing things. You got a purpose that you're doing some good stuff, and you just want to make it happen.
Yeah. Every day is a good day.
Yeah.
Every day that you get up, I think when you get up and you're grateful for what you've got, grateful for the business you've got, grateful for the life that you've got, and you get up and go to work, and you, especially when you lead a team like you and I do, you've got to go to work and you've got to be grateful. I've got these guys, they're part of my life, they're part of my world, and I'm leading them.
Yeah.
And
I love it. My dad was a freezing worker, right? And I always remember him saying, because he worked for the same place for 47 years, freezing worker. And look, I wasn't an owner of a business at the time, and I kind of wanted to start my own business. And I remember him kind of briefly talking about it, and he just said, "Well, you're not in a jail." He says, "You can do whatever you want." And I thought that was really interesting from someone who'd been at the same place for 47 years. And I said, "Well, but you've been at the same place." He goes, "Yeah, but I like it. I really liked what he really liked what he was doing. He liked the camaraderie of it."
Yeah.
So that's the kind of point. He enjoyed going there, so he liked doing it.
Yep.
So you can actually work for someone and still really enjoy going there, right?
That's the culture.
Yeah.
That's the culture. Our office, we have, we buy groceries in every week. So the guys are supplied morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, and what they like, chocolate or whatever. But it's part of that culture thing.
Yeah.
Where you can, most of the guys sit and have lunch every day and chat, and
nice.
That's it's like a big happy family.
Yeah,
most days.
So you set that tone though, right? And what do you reckon it is that you like what you do? Why is that like for you? What is it about it that you really like? Is it the people side? Is it the negotiation? Because you're involved in the property world and you have a lot of office spaces and stuff. What is it about that it makes it for you?
I think it's the creative side of it.
Yeah.
Where you create.
Yeah.
You create your business, you create your business life, you create your personal life culture and your life culture.
Yeah, true.
And that's something I've learned in probably later years of my life, to be fair, but probably because you slow down a bit and you become more conscious of it, that you actually have to work on yourself every day.
Yeah.
Like when you get up in the morning, you can't just share and go to work.
Yeah.
I might be having breakfast or whatever, or reading a report or something, but you actually have to work on yourself so when you get to work, you're actually ready.
Yeah, I think that's part of. I think about that constantly as around my morning routine, but how you show up, and constantly working on that. Because as a leader of the business, if you turn up and go, oh man, another day. Oh, what's going to happen to us today? If you ever bring that energy to it, well, it's never going to happen, right? But if you're going, hey, this is a great day. I was singing around the team the other day, everything is awesome. It's the Lego song. And I just do it because my son was watching the Lego movie. But I just thought it was, you can bring a vibe, right? You can bring a vibe. And if you're consistent with it, you can really create something great. And I think that's, it's okay to have a pity party sometimes around some stuff that you're doing. Not everything goes 100% all the time. How do you deal with that? Like, what's your...
I look at life these days in that a problem is a solution.
Nice.
There's a solution to every problem.
Yeah.
And if you look at the journey of life and the experience of life, we've all had problems.
Yeah.
And we've all had problems where you face a problem and you go, well, this is going to be a game changer, or this is going to knock me out, or this is going to be, different and really bad. But in reality, they aren't.
No.
In reality, they aren't.
Yeah.
And when you look at a problem and you focus on it, there's always a solution.
It's always a solution.
Always a solution.
And I think as you look back on some of those problems that you thought were problems, and like the time gives it context that, and I think that when you was talking and listening to Gilbert and Oka around that, and he was the All Black kind of mind coach for a while, and he talked about how in high performance, if you look too far out, you get overwhelmed, and if you look too far behind, you get stressed as well. So dealing with what's in front of you allows you to see things for what they are.
Yeah.
And I like what you talked about being grateful around that, because if you're, I've been saying to a lot of people recently, no sailor let anything in a calm sea. You always learn stuff from being in a rough sea, and we're in a bit of a rough sea at the moment, and we're doing that in our business. We're constantly looking how we can be better.
Yeah.
What are some of those challenges that we're having, and let's bring a different lens to that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something you learn over time too, right?
You learn a lot over time, Scott.
Yeah.
A lot over time.
Yeah, a lot over time. Do you find those experiences hold you in good stead moving forward though, and I guess one of the cool things now is you kind of get to teach other people.
Yeah, for sure. And I have the odd, there's a couple of young people who have been in my world for a long time.
Yep.
And they regularly contact me for advice.
Nice.
Mentoring advice.
Yeah.
One of them's quite successful these days. You would hardly think, you'd think I'd be contacting him for advice.
Yeah.
But he regularly contacts me for stuff or bounces stuff off me, and sometimes it's a quick phone call, but I'm happy to help out, and you always feel better for actually helping someone else.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's why I love doing this podcast series, because, interviewing all these people that have been in business a long time, and they're sharing their best advice. And it's really interesting to hear some of the different advice. But when they all add up together, it's actually, people are going to be listening to this going, man, that was really valuable. That was really valuable.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing to be able to give back. You got any other words of wisdom? What about right now? We're in June 2024. What's your advice for people right now? Because it's a bit tough out there for some people.
It's tough. We're in we're in what's been a relatively sharp economic cycle in terms of the bites sort of started to come on around about sort of February, March 23. And hand on heart, I actually thought by now things would be a lot worse out there in the real world.
Yep.
I thought they'd be worse. We had
globally or
globally and locally. A lot of businesses out there have slowed. That's a result of the lack. You've got that. The middle. Mum, dad, 2.2 kids, mortgage in the suburbs. Maybe a boat. Those type of people who spend. They're bringing up a family. They have to spend. They're struggling. They're struggling, and they're the people that spend.
True.
And when they're not spending, it contracts the rest of the economy. So we've got to, I think, with interest rates easing off, they're sort of forecast for, next year in the main to start tracking down, that'll put some disposable income back into those pots. We'll see things track. But, on a worldwide scale, most countries like us are facing the same challenges. Aussie is just a repeat rinse of us.
Totally.
The States, you had inflation there, high UK inflation at 10%. By comparison, your interest rates are low compared to ours. Aussie, they're nothing like ours. They're below ours.
Below ours.
It's interesting how they drive an economy. How that fluid, that cash, people rely on the need for that cash to fund their homes or fund whatever businesses. Equally, a lot of large corporates haven't expanded because corporates normally borrow to expand and then repay the debt. With the cost of money, you're talking commercially, you're talking 9 to 11%.
Yeah, they've been a bit more cautious, right?
They've been a lot more cautious, and we're seeing jobs. The unemployment levels, rising, which the Reserve Bank wants to happen. That's a real blunt knife.
From your experience and where you've seen this go in the past, how does it play out? Like, where do you think it plays out? You said, you thought we'd be a bit further on. Like, where do you see it playing out?
Well, I'm sort of second guessing myself because when it, around about late 22, when interest rates were sort of on the rise, I thought they might have hit 6 because, post-Quake in Christchurch commercially, we haven't seen rates with first-tier banks over 6%. In fact, when COVID hit, 2020, our average cost of funds was about 4.5%. Our average cost of funds today is 8.5%. So double. So we hadn't. I thought when interest rates started to rise, we might have seen them cap at 6. I'd advice from a couple of economists that they'd cap at 6. But we all got it wrong. They've capped it more. And generally, you find a lot of economic cycles, they can last for 3 or 4 years. If you look at the GFC, you could see signs of it in 06.
Yes, totally.
Only signs of it. 07, 08, it was really biting. 09, it was like, this is the norm. And in Canterbury 2010, we had the earthquakes, which threw a lot of cash in the pot.
We got sheltered from it a wee bit.
We got sheltered from it. 2011, we got sheltered again. COVID, it was a very unusual time where the banks printed money flat out.
It's kind of like we've got the flu now.
A lot of quantitative easing. Everyone bought a spa pool, caravan, updated the Commodore, all that stuff. And, then all of a sudden it's time to pay for it. And that's what I'm saying is I looked at it and thought, this is either going to be quick and shallow and to the point. But the Reserve Bank is sort of saying, we're not sure about the sticky inflation. It may carry on longer.
It definitely seems like it.
And, it's like... generally, as I say, the economic cycles are 3 or 4 years. So if you put that into perspective, you could be talking, end of 25 when things come right.
So what do you do as a business owner then?
You've just got to control your costs. Keep positive. Keep very focused. Maintain your integrity and your reputation. Two most important things you can have. And you've really just got to focus and carry on. And it's times like that where you've just got to look outside the square at not doing what you've always done and what is always normal to do.
True.
You've got to lift every rock. Go, what about this? What about that? What can we do here? Make things work, make things fit. Because that'll get you through.
And I just talking a lot at the moment about designing the strategy to pick the tactics to produce the results you want from a marketing perspective. The time is now. You got to sharpen that sword and get your strategy right? Otherwise, if you don't have your strategy, you start doing things that are just random. Like, talked to a client the other day, and a radio guide rang him up and said, "Oh, you need to run this radio campaign." It was like $2,000 for the month, and it was like, What a waste of time that is. Like you're feeding the person who's selling you something, but it's not part of your strategy.
No.
And saying that, we've got clients spending more than ever right now because they know it's time to grow the market share, but that's pinned to a bigger strategy. And I think that's you do see the good businesses start to really dominate in these kind of markets.
Yes.
And I was listening to Cameron Bailey talk about it the other day, and he was saying how he likes this kind of market because it's a good time to have tough conversations, and it's the people that can have those tough conversations that kind of win in this market.
Yes, you've got to. Yeah, you don't pussyfoot it. Just front foot it. Tell it as it is.
Yeah.
This is how it is.
Awesome. Sean, this has been great. Look, I went off on a wee bit of a tangent there because I wanted to get your snapshot because I know you're a very, very, very smart man when it comes to what's going on in the marketplace. So, hey, maybe share this one. Sean's just giving some real good insights. Firstly, love what you do. And if you're a business owner listening to this, share this podcast with another business owner that maybe need a bit of a lift right now. And then also share it with your other business owners that are talking about the economy. So I really appreciate, Sean, you coming back in today.
Thanks, Scott. Great to be here.
Yep. Just share this podcast. Just share it with everyone you can. The more people that listen to the tips that these entrepreneurs and business owners are getting, the better. All right, thanks, Tom, and have a great day. Tony Jenkins, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Great to see you, Scotty.
Mate,
pleased to be here.
Mate, it's so good to have you here. Look, I've been going around. This is our 100th episode. I've been going around asking people what's their best business advice. Now, look, I know you've got a great business. You've got a great culture here at Harcourt's Homewood, and you're a sales gun, and you've really got some insight. So, what is your best business advice?
Thanks, Scotty. I think the best one would be focus on dollar productive activity.
Nice.
And I think the big thing I learned back in the day was that, hey, you can't do it all yourself, and focus on the dollar productive activity. So, in other words, get a PA. So, delegate the day-to-day stuff that can help you focus on what you need to focus on. And in real estate, that's prospecting, listing, selling, and negotiating. So, all that other stuff that you get your PA to do, which is the admin, photos, and the day-to-day admin, which takes you off what you should be doing.
I think that could transition across any business. I remember when we did the podcast with you, you said something which I thought was really, really cool. Delegate, delegate, delegate. I've never forgotten that.
I just got to mention that. Delegate, delegate, delegate. And even today, I have a PA and have had a PA for years. So what I'm going to focus on in business is one of the my KPIs is recruiting and making sure we look after our agents that are with the business now.
So when you're looking at a business and you've got a number of businesses and a number of managers that you look at, dollar productive activities, how do you measure that and how do you track the performance of that? Because I think that's really key for someone when they're looking at it. It's easy to say, okay, focus on dollar productive activities, but how do we then track that and measure it moving forward?
Well, I think, Scotty, what you've got to realise is what are your drivers in your business. So we all know what the drivers are in each business. So I think we meet.
So maybe listing those out in each
business, and we focus on regular meetings with our managers and ensuring that targets and goals are met. So we focus on the activity really, and that it's a byproduct of success.
And when you look at the activity, so it could be number of calls, number of messages, number of the things that really move the needle.
Yes, and I think probably in real estate, one of our drivers is auction, making sure that we've got a good auction business going on. Hey, we know that we've got a good property. Hey, it's hard to price property at the moment, so auctions are a driver of a real estate business.
Yeah, so being real clear on what your driver is in your business.
Exactly.
So that's real key. So if you're a business owner and you're looking at maybe listing out some of the activities and going, right, is that a dollar productive activity, or could someone else be doing it? How do you determine what someone else gets, like the PA or someone else in your business?
That's right. I think one of the things is that we can all come to work and say we've had a busy day.
Yeah, it's easy.
But when we actually wind the clock back, and I talk to say an agent, I say, righto, let's look at your week. You've had a busy week, but really it's how many appointments they had, how many clients they had out, how many listing presentations they've had for the week. And in business, we all know what KPIs are. So, obviously making sure that you're focusing on the things you need to focus on and delegating the stuff that that's going to be taking up your time.
Yeah.
Because we'll all be busy.
Yeah.
But busy doing what?
Yeah, and I think that's real key, especially in times that we're in, right? You've got to focus on, okay, well, here's what's going to move the needle from a business perspective.
Yeah.
Like I know for us, what moves the needle is us creating content and marketing. The market, all advertising and marketing works as long as you stay in the game long enough and have a really clear message and an offer. But if you're not marketing your business, the thing is it goes backwards, and and you might not see it over the first 2 or 3 months that you stop advertising and marketing, but all of a sudden, after that 90-day kind of period, everything slumps back off, So we make sure we're focusing on always pushing that needle forward, you know.
The other one I think too is that, it doesn't matter whether it's a small business or a large business, the person running that business is the CEO of that business. Now, whether you're running a small team or it's a real estate agent with a small team, you are the CEO of that group.
Yep.
And I think how you lead that group and have positivity, start the day with a good, positive attitude.
Yeah.
It rubs off.
Oh, totally.
There's a few challenges out there in the marketplace at the moment. Well, I think that's the key where you've got to, forge through.
Yeah, well, I've learned from you. You've got to put the fizz in the Coke, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I think that's like as a leader, you've got to bring your attitude to the game.
Well, you
right?
do.
Like no one wants to follow someone who's, it's going to be really bad today.
Oh, it's tough out there.
Hey, look, it's tough enough without someone else bringing that attitude.
Well, exactly right. And I think probably what's kept me right is that like you and I go to the gym in the morning, so having a bit of a daily routine, getting to work, fired up, ready to go, positive, because positive energy transfers.
What would you say, because I think one of the things you do and probably one of the things that we do is we share our wins a lot inside the team.
Yes.
Is that a big part of your culture?
Oh, absolutely. We talk about, good wins we've had. And you've got to celebrate your successes.
Yeah, because it rubs off on other people, right?
You've even said to me, gosh, Tony, you do a lot of celebrating.
Yeah.
but that's all part of what we do. You've got to celebrate and enjoy your wins. Yeah. Because, a lot of people, there's to be successful, you've got to have a few no's too.
Totally. And I think that one of the keys to that is like writing things down where you've had some wins. So in when times get tough, you can go back to that and you can go, hey, actually, you know what? This has happened before. I've got through it. Here's the wins I've had in the past.
Exactly right.
And it gives you because a lot of times in tough markets like we have, it comes down to confidence.
It does. And all businesses have challenges. And particularly at the moment, it's a bit challenging, but you've got to soldier through. The CEO of the business has got to lead from the front. Yeah. Be positive, but also, give the team leadership that, hey, we'll get through this so we can, move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And experience is a good, I guess, doctor for that, right? Like it tells us, we've been through a few things, we know what's going on. Yeah. Those times don't last. They feel like they're going to last forever. Yes. But you have to have that strong mindset. So what I take away there is, hey, look, okay, dollar predictive activities is really, really important. But
focus on what you can control too.
Boom. Focus on what you can control and your mindset.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that you can bring to the game.
I think mindset is underestimated. It's huge.
Yeah.
Positive, good mindset. Have a culture within your organisation that's fun. People want to be there in an organisation that's fun and they enjoy being there.
Yeah. Yeah, because they
in good times, I think in these times where it's a bit challenging, it's more important that culture is in the forefront.
Yeah. Yeah, because they see the leaders in the business lifting, and they want to be around that because no one wants to and I guess when you deal with high performers, like you've got a lot of high performing people inside your business.
Yes, we have.
They want to be around other people that are lifting themselves up. Right. Yep. The cool thing about that is the lower performers, they struggle to be around, and sadly, we've seen recently quite a few marketing agencies have gone out of business, and it's because it's tough, right?
Absolutely.
If you it's easy. It's always easy when things are when things are going well. But it's when the market gets tough, you see the strong kind of come to that market.
Anybody that's been successful has had a bit of adversity. You've got to take a few no's. Yeah. Not everything's perfect in a perfect world. So I think, as I said before,
how do you handle the no's?
Oh, look, I've been around a long time. I know that getting. Obviously, the no's, it always hurts if you have an agent looking to come to work for your company and then they say, look, I'm going somewhere else. Yeah. No one likes it. We wish them well. Yeah. Seeing them off well, keep in touch, you never know. Yeah. The door's always open.
Yeah.
So I think treat people well. If they leave your organisation,
nice.
hey, we like to think they'll come back.
I like the fact that you leave the doorways open. You know, a lot of businesses don't do that, or a lot of people don't do that, but leave the doorway always open. I heard of a great one the other day while I was in Miami, and this company, when they lose a client, they send pizzas to celebrate, to say thank you for being a client. And I thought that was fantastic. I've never heard of hey, we enjoyed working with you.
Well, you made a wee comment to me just the other day as part of your learnings on that trip that, obviously client gifts was pretty high up. And I think one of the things that we get from time to time is that, hey, maybe that's been missed in the process. I think just doing those basics. Well. So in the market like this, I think sticking to the basics, you know what your KPIs are for your business. There's no rocket science out there, is there?
No, simple as best.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely. Back to basics. Right, this has been awesome. Thank you for sharing your best business advice. Hey, as always, look, 100 episodes. I need you to share this one, though. I need you to share Tony's advice. Someone will be sitting there that you know as a business owner that just needs to hear this little bit of wisdom that Tony shared. You know, writing down, getting focused on your dollar predictive activities, you know, looking at your business and going, okay, as a leader in the business, how do I bring my people along this journey? So, Tony, I really appreciate you being here. Thanks again for sharing. And just do me one favor, share this podcast.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Good man. Hayden, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Hey, Scotty.
Mate, it's great to have you back.
Thank you.
Look, this is the 100th episode, so I'm asking people one question. What is your best business advice?
I think just at the moment, it's pretty tough out there, but just to really just be honest, look after people, give good service, don't under-deliver on what you say, and make sure the price is right.
Yeah. So like, there's a lot in there, right?
Yeah.
So let's go to the honest part. So what does that mean for you and for the Mag and Turbo brand that you're dealing with people?
Just making sure that we do what we say. Yeah. And we do things on time.
Nice.
And just look after people, and give them good service, and care about their needs and what they need. Yeah. And just do the job properly.
Yeah, nice. I've been talking to a few people recently about what's going on in the marketplace, and one of the things I learned from GFC and earthquakes is, and sometimes strategically in tougher times you need to slow down to get a bit more of a clearer picture on what's going on rather than trying to quicken up, and I think that's when you're dealing with customers. Maybe it's just take that extra time to make sure you're listening to everything that they need and what they want. Is that sort of...
Yeah, definitely. And I think at the moment things have pulled back on what they were a couple of years ago. And so if anything, now is the time that you can actually listen properly. Yeah. When we're not super busy. So listen properly, talk to them properly. Yeah. And do what you got to do.
Yeah. And also look for opportunities to turn that customer into a lifelong customer if they haven't shopped with you before.
Yep.
But also, could they be buying other stuff? Do they have other family members that need to be buying as well? So taking every opportunity to extend that relationship to now as well.
Yeah, if you do it properly, they go away happy, and then they tell their friends and family. Yeah. And we get a lot of referrals, and that's a big part of our business.
So good, because I've seen this in the past. When times get tough, people cut corners.
Yep.
And you do see those people, they go out of the marketplace because the marketplace doesn't allow for that in the long run, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So what else was in that? You were talking about, quality of service. What does that mean to you in Mag and Turbo when you're looking after people?
I was just talking to them properly, asking, their driving needs as well. For us, when we do tyres, we want to make sure we sell them the right tyre. Yeah. And just work out sort of, what their budgets are. Like, you don't want to be trying to sell someone a $1,000 tyre when they're just in the market for a $200 or $300 tyre, which sometimes you can do. Yeah. So it's just listening to them and just hearing what they want.
Yeah. And obviously, because tyres, a lot of people, probably like me, drive a car, don't really think about the tyres, right? Until they have a warranted fitness and then get, you need new tyres.
Yeah.
So asking those right questions about driving conditions is not something I really thought about before until I came to you guys.
Yeah, well, it's just knowing whether they go out on the open road, if they're out of town quite a lot, if they're just around town, is the car electric, because that's a big part of our business these days, electric cars. And it's all very well putting a cheaper tyre on, but those electric cars are a lot harder on tyres.
Oh, are they?
So, and they do less Ks than a proper tyre that's designed for the car.
So why are they harder? Is it because they
A lot of torque, and they're just really aggressive on the rubber, which is what keeps them on the road. And if they've just got a more cheaper, softer tyre that's not designed for the car, they will wear out a lot quicker.
Wow, learned something there today. Yeah. Didn't know that. Hey, how good. So understanding. I guess what you're hearing is great advice, and what I'm hearing from you is dig deeper into your customer, listen to your customer, ask them questions, find out what their needs are, what their wants are, and provide them with that service, because a lot of people at this time they want someone to listen to them too, right?
Yeah, and for us, they're not just a number or a customer. We actually, we want to be their friend, and we want them to come back, and we want them to feel comfortable when they come to our shop. Yeah,
because it can be quite daunting. Tyres is kind of they are. You have every tyre from a small tyre up to these big tyres, right? And it's like for a lot of people, it can be quite daunting as far as what do I need? What do I actually need? What do I need for my car right now? And it's interesting, right from the newbie driving a car right through to senior citizens, and all their driving needs are so different, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's just giving them, listening to them, working out exactly what they need, and selling them the right tyre, giving them the service, and making sure the price is right.
So Hayden, you've been through these tougher times. Look, in Christchurch here, we went through the earthquakes, and for a lot of people that was a hard time. What's some advice for you for other people listening to this around dealing with those tougher times?
I think just making sure you're there every day doing it, and you're on the floor, and just keeping an eye on your costs, really. You do need to trim right back when these times get tougher. Yeah. But I guess trimming back in the right areas. Yeah. And for us, advertising, we just keep our foot hard up that. Yeah. Because we need to keep out people's faces and ears. And hence why we do what we do with you, and also the radio station. Yeah. Biggest advice is really just keep doing that. Yeah. And that keeps people hearing you, seeing you. And just keep an eye on your costs, and just do the right thing by people. Yeah,
I love that, because a lot of people turn things off right now, and they turn off the wrong things. Your marketing and your advertising got to be out there in the marketplace. You've got to be telling people, here's who we are, here's what we have to offer, and here's why you should buy from us. A lot of people turn that off, and then they realise when it bounces back that they're too late to the bounce back.
And people just forget about you, really.
Yeah, they forget about you, and it's real quick to forget about you. And I find that really interesting. But at the same time, there's other things that you can cut. That do we need to be having this in the office? Do we need to be using this paper or that paper? Or there's a whole bunch of things if you look at it. I was talking to a person the other day, and they were talking about doing an audit on all your costs and look at all the little things that you do. She gave a great example where there was people, the printer was upstairs, and people were printing stuff and going upstairs. Yeah. And it wasn't just the cost of that, it was the time cost of that. So actually auditing everything to see what you're doing inside the business. Is it really dollar productive? What are your dollar productive activities that you need to be, like you were talking about, being on the floor? That's where you're going to make your money. People coming in the door, you're talking to them, your staff are talking to them. You're also setting the example in the business too, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's the real key too, is making sure that your leaders lead in times like this, right? Yeah. They lead from the front. They're out there. And to some degree, I was listening to a guy the other day talk. He's the #1 real estate agent in Christchurch, Cameron Bailey. And he says, I like times like this because I can have tough conversations. Yep. It's where most people get scared of those tough conversations, right? So I thought that was really, really cool. Good people in these times. You got anything else? Any other words of wisdom?
No, I think
just shop at Mega Turbo?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, #1.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, I really appreciate everyone listening. Look, some really good examples there from Hayden as well around what to do in tougher times. Look, my experience, tough times don't last. But tough people do. The ones that stick around, the ones that just get in there and do the things. I think do the tough things is another thing I'd say to people. So if you need car tyres, head down to Mag and Turbo. They'll look after you. And also, one thing you need to do also is share this podcast. Look, all these people are sharing their best business advice. You need to do them a favour and share it with other business owners, because as business owners, we need to stick together. All right, thanks for your time. Have a great day.
Hi, it's Scott back again. Hey, how good was that? You know, how good were some of those pieces of advice? I really hope you do and have enjoyed listening to this part of the podcast. I thought I'd wrap up and finish with my best advice. Look, I've been in marketing and sales now for over 25 plus years. I've owned 2 businesses in the digital space, and I've learned a bit about business. I thought I'd share my best marketing advice first, and that is to always be marketing and advertising. I've learned from the best clients that we have and the most successful that grow to multiple millions of dollars and really dominate their market share, that you always must be advertising and marketing. You know, and here's the thing. To grow a market share, you must grow the mind share. And to do that, you must have consistency of your message. You must have frequency of the reach with people that can and want to buy your product to become relevant. And here's the thing. The brands that become more relevant in 2024 and beyond are the brands that and businesses that people are going to transact with. You know, it's the danger is if you're a legacy brand today, you know, if you're someone that's been around a long time, you can actually get marketed out by a smaller competitor doing bigger things with their marketing. It doesn't actually take much these days to pull up a camera to shoot on a phone or a camera, etc., to grow your brand to become relevant. And I think that's the thing that you must understand. You've got to stay relevant in today's marketplace. So, you know, I always back that with strategy first thinking. Okay, where can I design the strategy to produce to pick the tactics to produce the results I want? You know, and I look at all that from a client's perspective as too. You know, like, okay, let's develop a strategy first. Let's get really, really clear on our messaging strategy, our brand strategy, our target market strategy. You know, and so we become relevant to those people that can and want to buy from us. Because here's the thing, your tactics come and go. Your strategy needs to be pinned so that you can then go and pick the tactics to produce the results you want. Is it email marketing? Is it social media? Is it video? You know, all those tactics can be used, but if your strategy is not clear, then you're never going to win. The other thing I'd say to that is you must commit to a minimum of 12 months. The most successful clients I know have been advertising, you know, some of them since they started their business, you know, 30 plus years ago, 28 plus years ago. You know, you must commit to a minimum of a 12-month period, because here's the thing, you got to give people a long enough time for you to become relevant to them. And sadly, most unsuccessful businesses I see, they just get out of marketing, or they don't market, or they get out of marketing too early. So you've really got to commit. And then look, if you can't commit, that's fine. Just don't invest your time and money into marketing and advertising your business, because here's the thing, it's not going to work. You're going to quit after, you know, 30 days or 90 days or 4 months, and you're going to feel that marketing doesn't work. And the thing is, I know from doing this for long enough now that it does work. You just didn't give yourself enough runway to get over the hoop. So that's why you must understand your numbers. You must understand what a client's worth to you. What are you prepared to pay to get that client or customer? You know, what's the lifetime value of that? Really understand your marketing numbers and the financial numbers of your business. You'll understand that you can actually go a little bit longer. You can outmarket your competitors, and you can stay in the lane to become relevant. And you know, that's really is the guts of it. You need to stay in the lane to become relevant, and you need to understand those numbers so you can come back to them, so you can have that confidence. And I guess, you know, we're in the game of turning marketing into money, and to give our clients confidence to do that. So to do that, you really must understand the numbers. So I hope you can understand that it is a bit of a process, and really good marketing does take time. It really does take thinking, strategy, and it also takes confidence to be able to do that. So, hey, look, once again, if you always want help with that, then you just need to reach out to us, 021 891 934. Happy to have a quick conversation to see if it's right for you. All right, I wanted to get into some business advice that I was given as well, and some of the things I really believe moving forward have really, really helped me. Number one is pay once, cry once. This is some strange advice I got, but I really understand it now. When it comes to some of the things that you need to invest in your business, you're best just to pay once and cry once. What I mean by that is, seek out the best, and pay for the best, because here's the thing, you don't regret ever, personally, I never regret paying extra for things or paying more for things if they are the best. So I would rather pay once and cry once versus paying for less and being happy at that time but dissatisfied after the result, etc. A good example, and I know you've probably done this, you go on holiday and you wish you'd booked the room with a view of the beach or wherever, the mountains, but you didn't at the time, and then you get to that hotel and you think, oh man, I wish I'd paid for that view, etc. So it's the same in business. It's same when it comes to employing people, same when it comes to investing in technology, it's same when it comes to looking at what seminars and events, etc. you should go to. You get the best, pay once and cry once when it comes to paying that bill. You'll never regret it. The other thing I wish I'd known early on in my business, that it's not your money. Now look, this seems simple, and look, I'm not really talking to the guys and girls with real business experience here, but I'm talking to the newer business owners. Look, here's the thing I learned and early on in my first business. It's not your money. So what you want to do is you want to set up separate bank accounts. There's a great book on this called Profit First. But simply what you could also do is just set up a trading account, set up a tax account, and set up a profit account, and work those percentages into those certain accounts. I put 5% into my profit account straight away, generate around 30 to 2% into my taxes account, and then I trade on the rest. I keep it really, really simple. But I tell you what, from the headaches of always having to look at the ID and getting in trouble with them early on in business to now paying tax in advance, etc., I can tell you it's a breath of fresh air. It's not your money. So set up those accounts. Sounds really simple, but I tell you what, I've given this advice to people now over the years, and they've implemented it in their business, and it's very, very freeing when you get the system set up and do it the right way. My last bit of advice, if you know me, then you'll know me. It's up here as well. Celebrate your victories. Look, business can be a lonely place. It can be a struggle sometimes, and especially in certain types of markets, it can be really hard and taxing. So I believe you should celebrate your victories, and you should find ways of celebrating your success. Look, confidence is a big thing in business, and one of those things you want to do is maybe write down some of those wins that you're having from time to time, and then celebrate those. No win is too small not to celebrate. I think we live in a country here in New Zealand where sometimes we get looked down on if we're celebrating our successes. Well, I say to you, as a business owner or as someone who's wanting to start a business, you should celebrate your victories. You should be proud of what you're doing. You should be proud of what your team's doing, and you should step out there to do the best that you can. And in the marketplace, look, get known by the success of your clients and be proud of that. Okay, so that's my advice: is celebrate your victories. I personally love it. I created that hashtag celebrate your victories. If you want to celebrate, tag me in and mention my name on social media, and I'll definitely be happy to join you in your celebrating, because I think the world needs more of that, especially in some tough times. Oh, hey, look, 100 podcast episodes. I really, really appreciate everyone listening. You don't get to 100 podcasts without people listening and people engaging in what you're doing. And we've had some great conversations, and I want to have more. I just want to give a shout out to Bronte from my team. Bronte's the person behind the scenes here and does everything from an editing perspective and posting and all that sort of stuff. Look, without Bronte, we would not have got to 100. I'm good at the talking side of things, but really Bronte does such a great job. So I really appreciate Bronte, everything you've done there to make the Marketing for Business podcast come alive. So thank you. And look, really to the listeners, I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you joining the conversations that we've had online, etc., with regards to the podcast. podcast, and I really appreciate all the guests that have come on the podcast. Your willingness to share your views and your, I guess, passion for business and your passion for sharing your expertise, etc., is really warming. And I look forward to having more conversations with more business owners around New Zealand and around the world as we head towards 150, 200, 300 episodes. So once again, please do me a favor, share this episode. There's some really gold advice on this podcast episode from some really good people that want to help you and your friends and your business colleagues. So do me a favor, share this one, make it go a little bit viral, as they say. And I look forward to talking to you. I look forward to seeing you again really, really soon. Until then, have fun, take action, and as always, celebrate your victories.